Chapter 240. The first time I met Ning Ying, we were in a room behind the ancestral hall. Normally, this was a forbidden area that no one was allowed to enter. But today, they suddenly told me to come here. They said that from now on, this place would be under their control and that I had to properly worship the thing inside. Yes, the thing, they said. At that time, I understood that the thing inside was something they didn't like but couldn't get rid of. So, they told me to go. Pushing open the old door, the creaking sound was long and sharp. The room was quite spacious. There was a table with an incense burner and a jar on it. There was a seal on the jar. The seal was very old. I walked closer to take a closer look. From the faded seal, I could vaguely make out that it was my great-grandfather's handwriting. Great-grandfather, in that chaotic era, he led the family through it peacefully. He was the most recent hero of the family. Just as I looked at the seal, the jar suddenly shook. Cracks appeared on it, and it shattered into countless pieces in front of my eyes. Smoke seeped out of the jar. When the smoke dissipated, a completely naked woman stood in front of me. Her expression was sinister. As soon as she saw me, she pounced on me, as if she wanted to kill me. Naturally, I wanted to fight back. But before I could take out the talisman, she suddenly collapsed to the ground. I held the talisman up and stood in place. At that time, I was probably at a loss. Although she was a ghost, she was a female ghost. Because of the family's rules, ghosts that were raised by the family were either indebted to them or felt guilty toward them. They couldn't be killed. After seeing her naked body, I had no choice but to take her back to my residence. I didn't dare tell others, afraid that they would use it to make things difficult for me. At that time, I wanted to reseal her. She was in a deep sleep and looked very weak. I tried several times, but I couldn't reseal her. Left with no choice, I could only raise her. She didn't wake up until 3 years later. At that time, I was 18 years old and had just moved out of the family residence. I didn't expect her to lose her memories. Apart from remembering that she was called Ning Ying, she didn't remember anything else. I took her away, but I didn't want to run into other people's schemes. At that time, I accidentally formed a ghost contract with her. I thought about canceling it, but then I thought that since I'd raised her for so many years, it didn't matter whether I had a ghost contract or not. She was very obedient. She would do whatever I told her to do. Occasionally, she would also ask some questions. But every time, she would be blocked by my cold attitude. After a long time, she would only be respectful to me. Later, I sent her to Nailan Ying's side to find his weakness. However, I didn't expect that before I could find her weakness, she would become a completely different person when I saw her again. That day, I couldn't sense her for a long time, so I went to the neighborhood where she stayed for the longest time. I saw her walk around the neighborhood several times. I didn't know what she was looking for, but the expression on her face was something I had never seen before. It was very lively, with both joy and anger. However, I couldn't understand the true emotions in her eyes. I watched her for a while before appearing in front of her. I had expected her to treat me with the same deference and distance as she had in the past. However, she didn't do that this time. The moment she opened her mouth, she started complaining. Her tone was filled with disdain and disdain. She said that she didn't want to stay by Nailan Ying's side. She even said that Nailan Ying was a pervert. At that time, I didn't know why, but I asked her to go back with me. I wasn't used to her change. She was too noisy. She wasn't like the Ning Ying of the past, but the ghost contract clearly told me that she was Ning Ying. I didn't understand what was wrong with me. In the past, whenever Ning Ying appeared in front of me, I would feel annoyed. But now, even if she made a ruckus and tore down my house, I just felt that she was too noisy. I didn't hate her. Her attitude towards me was also a little strange. She always wanted to touch me. To tell the truth, at that time, I thought that she had betrayed Nailan Ying and wanted to kill me. But she was right. With her abilities back then and that strange iron sword, if she wanted to kill me, she didn't need to spend any effort to get close to me. So what did she want? That night, when she pressed down on me, she sent a strange force into my body. That force rampaged through my body before gathering around my heart. It was as if it had been tamed and became extremely docile. Waves of familiarity rose from the depths of my heart. I seemed to have hugged her like this before. That kind of subconscious action was faster than my brain. After that, I felt a wave of anger. She touched me so recklessly. If she wasn't careful, she would have turned to ashes. But I couldn't bear to blame her. Couldn't bear to. When those 3 words appeared in my mind, even I was a little stunned. I actually couldn't bear to part with her. She told me with an arrogant expression, "Feng Jin, I'll protect you from now on. If anyone dares to touch you, I'll send them to hell." At that time, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Where did her confidence come from? Why was she so arrogant? But I couldn't help but admit that I had fallen for her. That kind of familiarity that came from my soul made it impossible for me to deny that she was slowly taking over my heart. What happened after that made me even more certain that I had fallen for her. Neither of us said anything. It was as if being together was something that came naturally. She was afraid that she would suck away her young energy, so she only touched me with kisses. Moreover, it was very light, the kind where lips touched lips. But she was ruthless to herself. I couldn't describe how I felt when I saw her in such a sorry state in the cemetery. My heart hurt so much that it almost went numb. So that night, I ignored her objections and took her by force. The feeling of losing young energy was terrible. It was as if my body had been hollowed out. Weakness, exhaustion, and coldness followed one after another. No wonder she was so against it. But she was willing to go so far for me. If I couldn't even bear that, what kind of man would I be? I wanted to help her return to the living world, but she wasn't willing. She worked hard to increase her strength. For a long time, I didn't understand why she refused, until I remembered something she once said. "He's human. He's very weak." She knew that if I helped her return to the living world, I'd have to pay a great price myself. She didn't want me to take risks, so she'd rather work hard on her own. She really doted on me. It felt like she was going to dote on me to the heavens. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry every time. Those who were forced to acknowledge me back then all envied me later on. I was very glad that I brought her back. But deep down, I knew that if she was still the original Ning Ing, I wouldn't have liked her. She was different. She was Ning Ing, but she wasn't. Asterisk. The 8th story came to an end. The next story was a Xianxia story. Because the supernatural isn't my forte, please forgive me if I don't write it well. Transmigration requires many stories, and there are many genres. However, the author can't write every genre well. Cherub fans, please understand. Chapter 241. When Shi Shang returned to the system space, the system saw that her expression was normal and that there was nothing strange about her. Only then did it carefully refresh her information. It was afraid that she would return to that world if she said something wrong. Name, Shi Shang morality points, 128000 health points, 25 contribution points, 17,000 mission grade, C mission score, 91 hidden mission, completed hidden mission reward, 2,000 contribution points side mission, completed side mission reward, 1,500 contribution points, item, Ghost King's Heart item list. Queen's Crown. Shi Shang looked at the information on the screen expressionlessly. After a while, she said, "Continue to the next world." Host, if you have something to say, please say it. Don't keep it to yourself. I'm scared. Hashtag. It feels like the host is secretly preparing a big move. Is it an illusion? Hashtag. Beginning transmission. Your Highness, we've entered Chong'an City. Shi Shang vaguely heard this sentence as the carriage swayed. She opened her eyes slightly. Unexpectedly, she was in the carriage again. Next to her sat a delicate girl dressed as a maid. She was about 13 or 14 years old. She lifted the curtain and looked out curiously. Your Highness, Chong'an City looks very lively. Shi Shang replied before lowering her head to look at her outfit. Damn. Wedding clothes. Is she getting married? To be called Your Highness, she must be a princess. Her status must be high. The girl talked non-stop. She must have been favored by the original owner. Shi Shang replied briefly and then began to receive the plot. This was a xianxia novel. The female lead, Yu Yao, was in charge of marriage in the heavenly realm. She was also known as the Moon Elder. However, the female lead was a little muddle-headed and always pulled the wrong red string. Previously, it was just a small mistake that was corrected in time. However, after the banquet at the Jade Lake, the female lead drank too much of the Queen Mother's wine and returned to the Moon Elder's palace drunk. She remembered the task given to her by the Jade Emperor. She had to pull red strings for God Songlon. She was in a daze and pulled more than 10 red strings for God Songlon. She even pulled her own red string. When she found out the next day, all the red threads were tangled up in a mess. The Jade Emperor, who knew the truth, was so angry that he kicked her down to the mortal world and made her break up Songlan's marriage with her own hands. While they were tearing each other apart, the two of them somehow fell for each other. Those women who were randomly pulled by the female lead didn't have a good ending. As for the female lead, after High God Songlan successfully transcended the tribulation, she followed him back to the divine world and became an enviable immortal couple. The original Qing Guan was precisely the victim of the female lead's shameless attempts to pull strings. As for Qing Guan, she was also someone from the god realm. She and Songlan had both descended to the mortal realm to undergo their tribulations. What Songlan was going through was the tribulation of love, but Qing Guan wasn't. She was going through the tribulation of merit and virtue to become a high deity. Due to the female lead's careless matchmaking, Qing Guan was forced to fall in love with Songlan. In the end, her country was destroyed, and her city was destroyed. There was only one chance to pass the merit tribulation. Failure meant that there was no chance for him to become a great deity. After returning to the god realm, Qing Guan held back her anger and went to look for the female lead, wanting to talk to her. However, High God Songlan thought that Qing Guan was looking for trouble with the female lead because she liked him, so he protected the female lead perfectly. Qing Guan's failure to transcend the tribulation was already very damaging. After returning to the god realm, she had been suppressing her anger and didn't have time to properly recuperate. In the end, Qing Guan was so angry that she suffered a qi deviation and was locked up in the Yao Ceiling Pagoda for the rest of her life. She was supposed to become a high deity and look down on the world, but because of the female lead, she ended up like this. The female lead had the female lead's halo, so even if she made a mistake, she could always try again. But what about her? Because of the female lead's mistake, everything was ruined. Qing Guan had 2 wishes. The first was to become a high deity. The second was to let the female lead know that she had to pay the price for her mistakes. Qing Guan's arrival was still considered early. The original Qing Guan hadn't even met High God Songlan yet. But it was obvious that the female lead had already pulled the strings. Qing Guan had come to Chong'an for a political marriage. The mortal world was currently divided into 3 countries: Chen, Chuyang, and Nanjing. Qing Guan was the princess of Nanjing. High God Songlan was the general of Chen. If the female lead hadn't pulled strings, Qing Guan wouldn't have appeared here. Shi Shang rubbed the space between his brows. Now that the plot had progressed to this point, it was impossible to go back. Nanjing's military strength was sandwiched between the 2 countries, so they were in an awkward position. Shi Shang's party was led to a post house by the people who came to receive them. The wedding was to be held in 3 days. And the person she was going to marry was none other than Songlan. I've heard that General Songlan is a valiant warrior who has never lost a battle on the battlefield. He's also very handsome. Your Highness, don't you want to meet the general soon? This young lady was called by Shi. She had been serving Qing Guan since she was young and had a very good relationship with her. She even died for her sake. This political marriage was proposed by Imperial Father. I never agreed to it. Shi Shang rudely pulled off the ornament on his head. Don't say such things again. I don't like that Songlan guy. Bai Shi stuck out her tongue. His Highness had been looking forward to it before. If Palace Master doesn't like him, she won't say anything. Palace Master, please don't pull them like that. She will help you take them off. Shi's original body was straightforward like a boy, so the Emperor of Nanjing often lamented that she was a girl. Therefore, Shi didn't see anything wrong with Shi Shang's action of pulling off the ornaments. After Shi removed everything, Shi Shang finally felt the pressure on his neck lighten. With so many things on his head, his neck felt like it was about to break. Your Highness, please rest first. Shi will prepare some food for you. Oh. Your Highness must be tired from the long journey, so please eat something light. Shi bowed and left the room. Shi Shang took the opportunity to reorganize the plot. He subconsciously paid attention to the information about the villain in the novel. But this person was still too far away from her. She would probably have to return to the realm of the gods to see him. Don't worry, he won't run away. Shi Shang comforted himself inwardly. In the evening, a eunuch brought a group of people to visit Shi Shang. However, Shi Shang was too lazy to entertain them and directly refused to see them. When the eunuch returned to report this, both the Chen Emperor and Song Lan felt disgusted. But now that the arrow was on the bow, there was no reason for them not to shoot. My dear minister, I'm afraid you've been wronged this time. The old Chen Emperor looked at the handsome man below with guilt. Song Lan frowned with coldness between his eyebrows. He was wearing a hard and cold armor, which made him look even more handsome. It's my duty to serve you, Your Majesty. A trace of satisfaction flashed in the Chen Emperor's eyes. My dear minister, if you have any requests, just tell me. I'll satisfy you as long as I can. I don't have any requests. This child. The Chen Emperor's face was full of kindness. Then I owe you one. If you have any requests in the future, just tell me. Thank you, Your Majesty. Please vote. Please vote. Please vote. Please vote. Yesterday's chapter was swallowed up. If you didn't see it, go back and read it again. Oh, please. Chapter 242. As soon as Song Lan came out of the palace, he saw the girl standing outside. The girl ran over to him and asked anxiously, "Are you really going to marry that Princess Qing Guan?" But... The girl stammered, not knowing what to say. She stomped her feet anxiously. This Qing Guan isn't Song Lan's first wife. But... why does the name Qing Guan sound so familiar? Where have I heard it before? But where have I heard it before? Song Lan walked around her and left. Seeing this, Yu Yao suppressed her doubts and chased after him. Looks like I'll have to do it myself. Shi Shang met the female lead the next night. She had somehow knocked out the people around her and climbed in through the window in her night clothes. Shi Shang was sitting cross-legged on the bed in his undergarments, waiting for her to come. Yu Yao jumped in and was met with a pair of calm eyes that didn't change at all when they saw her. Yu Yao touched her body. I didn't use any invisibility skills. What's wrong with this Princess Qing Guan? If it were a normal person, their first reaction upon seeing a stranger enter their room would be to call for help, right? Yu Yao had already thought of how to stop her if she called for help, but the other party didn't react at all. Is she blind? Yu Yao tried to move, but the pair of eyes that were looking at her moved as well. She's not blind. Yu Yao felt even weirder. Why doesn't this person react like a normal person? What are you doing here? Shi Shang's cold voice interrupted Yu Yao's imagination. I don't want to know what the female lead is thinking. I'm just waiting for her to speak, but she's just standing there for a long time without saying a word. Is she here to see if I'm pretty? The female lead finally reacted and asked curiously, You know me? This body I'm using shouldn't have anything to do with this woman. How could she know me? I'm asking you what you're here for, Shi Shang repeated. His tone was a little impatient, and the aura around him became much sharper. Yu Yao took a step back in shock from Shi Shang's aura. She braced herself and said, I want to talk to you about General Song Lan. Her little face was flushed red. She didn't know if it was because she was scared or embarrassed. "Oh, I don't want to hear it," Shishang answered coldly. What could the female lead possibly say to her? She must have spoken ill of Tsong Lan and wanted her to break off the engagement herself. Previously, the female lead had used the same method to pester Tsong Lan. Since this method didn't work, she thought of other ways to scare him. Yu Yao had already prepared a script, but it was useless now. She looked at Shishang and didn't know what to say. But when she remembered that she was on a quest, she clenched her teeth and said, "Princess Qing Guan, look at yourself. You're beautiful and have a noble background. There are all kinds of young talents in the South Jin Kingdom. Why do you have to marry so far away and leave your hometown? You may never be able to return to the South Jin Kingdom and see your family. You climbed into this consort's window in the middle of the night just to praise this consort? Could it be that you like me?" Shishang had a mocking expression on her face. She didn't even think about how the people of the South Jin Kingdom and the Chen State would view her if she really went back like this. Would they say that she wasn't good enough for Tsong Lan, or would they guess that there was something wrong with her that caused Tsong Lan to dislike her? In this era, reputation was more important than anything else, and the number of gossipers was no less than in the modern world. Is the female lead trying to ruin my reputation? Yu Yao was speechless. My main topic is yet to come. Yu Yao felt like she couldn't communicate with this princess. Princess Qing Guan, Tsong Lan. General Tsong Lan actually has a strange habit. He often doesn't wash his face or his feet, and he likes to be rough with women. I'm doing this for your own good. If you really marry him, you'll be the one to suffer. Yu Yao continued to work hard. She had already dealt with so many people before, so she didn't believe that she couldn't handle this one. You're so clear on this. Who are you to him? Shishang cast a sidelong glance at Yu Yao. The female lead was going all out in order to break up the male lead's marriage. But what she wanted to do was to break up the male lead and female lead CP. I'm just a kind-hearted person who doesn't want to see you all deceived. Yu Yao put on a friendly smile. Don't you think it's ridiculous that you barged in here for a stranger? Do you know what kind of crime it is to be caught? I can just kill you on the grounds of an assassination attempt. Even if someone finds out tomorrow that I'm the princess of South Jin, no one will come looking for trouble with me. The female lead was so reckless. Yu Yao didn't know how the original owner, who had such a good background, ended up in such a state. Yu Yao felt a chill run down her spine. She stared in horror at the woman sitting cross-legged on the bed. The corners of the woman's lips curled up into a mocking and malicious smile, causing Yu Yao's scalp to go numb. I was just being kind. How can you be so unreasonable? Yu Yao gritted her teeth and stared nervously at Shishang. You climbed through my window in the middle of the night, and you still want me to be reasonable? Shishang jumped off the bed, and with a flick of his wrist, an iron sword appeared in his hand. Today, I'll show you what it means to be unreasonable. Shishang swung the iron sword at Yu Yao. Ah! Yu Yao cried out in shock, covering her head as she dodged the iron sword. Shishang was probably really angry, for the iron sword mercilessly slashed at her. Madhav * Ker. Instead of sleeping in the middle of the night, you came to I to try and brainwash me. And now you're saying I'm unreasonable. Who's the unreasonable one here? I must have been too gentle just now, making Yu Yao think I'm easy to bully. Yu Yao hadn't expected Shishang to suddenly attack her. She immediately tried to use her magic. However, every time she tried to form a seal, Shishang would accurately interrupt her. Yu Yao's body was cut several times, and the room was filled with the faint smell of blood. Princess Qing Guan, I'm the young miss of the Prime Minister's estate. You can't kill me. Yu Yao couldn't use her magic, so she was a piece of trash. How could she compare to Shishang? Who said I wanted to kill you? I was just teaching the assassin a lesson. I'm not stupid. I can't kill her because she has the female lead's halo, but I can cripple her without using my killing intent. Shishang knew when to stop. He wouldn't kill her, but there would be a lot of blood. It was quite scary to watch. After dealing with Yu Yao, Shi Shang went to wake Bai Shi up. Bai Shi's face turned pale when she saw the puddles of blood in the room. "Your Highness, are you all right?" Bai Shi nervously looked Shi Shang up and down. When she didn't find any traces of blood on him, she sighed in relief. But then she was puzzled. "How did I fall asleep just now?" "Fortunately, Her Highness is fine. If something happened to Her Highness, how am I going to explain it to His Majesty?" "I'm fine. Go wake those people up." Bai Shi glanced at Yu Yao, who was lying on the ground. It was unclear whether she was dead or alive. "Your Highness, please stand outside. The smell of blood here is too strong." Although Bai Shi was young, she had been through a lot. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been sent to Chen with the original owner. Pleading votes. Chapter 243. Song Lon was urgently summoned into the palace that very night. Shi Shang sat on the chair given to her by the emperor. Her face was slightly pale. Bai Shi stood behind her and glared at her. Kneeling in the middle was a young lady. Her injuries had already been treated, and her body was trembling slightly. She bit her lips tightly to prevent herself from crying out. There was another person kneeling beside her, dressed in the Prime Minister's uniform. It was Yu Yao's father. When Song Lon arrived, this was the scene he saw. This was the first time he had seen Qing Guan. She was wrapped in a snow-white fox fur coat, and her face was the size of a palm. Her delicate eyebrows and eyes looked as if they had been carefully carved. Her eyelashes were drooping and trembling slightly, and her face was pale. It was obvious that she was in shock. Song Lon only glanced at her once before he retracted his gaze and looked at Yu Yao, who was kneeling on the ground. She looked even more pitiful. She was only wearing a single layer of clothing. In this weather, she was kneeling on the ground. It must be very cold. Song Lon didn't know why, but he couldn't show too much in front of the emperor. He could only suppress the worry that he couldn't explain clearly. He calmly approached and bowed. "Your Majesty." The Astro Sovereign was angry. "My dear Minister, this is all because of you. Tell me how you want to deal with it." Song Lon maintained his composure and said in a faint voice, "This humble subject entered the palace as soon as I received the summons. I have yet to understand what happened." Hearing Song Lan's words, Yu Yao immediately spoke up. "I didn't assassinate Princess Qing Guan. She's framing me." "How dare you?" Astro Sovereign shouted in a low voice. He looked even angrier. The Prime Minister, who was kneeling at the side, hurriedly stopped Yu Yao with his gaze. He kowtowed and said, "Your Majesty, please forgive me. It's all this humble subject's fault for not disciplining her properly." Chen Huang grabbed the teacup on the table and threw it at him. "Are you not strict enough? If anything happens to Princess Qing Guan today, your entire clan won't be able to compensate her." The teacup smashed onto the Prime Minister's body, and the boiling hot tea spilled all over his back. Fortunately, the weather was cool, and the tea wasn't very hot. Yes, I was wrong. Your Majesty, please don't be angry." The Prime Minister kowtowed repeatedly. Shi Shang kept her head low, turning a blind eye to the Chen Emperor and Prime Minister who were acting in front of her. Song Lon also knew what had happened. "Your Majesty, may this humble servant ask Princess Qing Guan a few questions?" Astro Sovereign looked at Shi Shang. Shi Shang raised his head slightly and looked at Song Lon. That pair of eyes was different from what Song Lon had imagined. There was no panic, only calmness, like a lake in the dead of winter. There were no ripples, but it was unusually cold. He heard her say in a steady tone, "What does General Song Lon want to ask me?" Her voice was crisp and clear, but it carried a sense of majesty. "Princess Qing Guan said that Missen entered the post house to assassinate you. But as far as this subject knows, Missen has been in poor health since she was a child. She's defenseless, and the post house is heavily guarded. How did she manage to enter?" Shi Shang raised his eyebrows. "Are you saying that I've wronged her? I'm just curious." "I don't have that intention." Shi Shang glanced at the people present. The emperor and the prime minister were pretending to be angry, but in fact, they were just putting on an act for her. Was Cong Lan going to act with the female lead now that he was here? You're trying to say that this consort invited her to the post house and then framed her, right? Cong Lan frowned. He hadn't expected Shi Shang to be so blunt. Shi Shang snorted coldly. This consort has no enmity with her, so why would I frame her? It's easy for this consort to kill someone. Why would this consort choose such a troublesome method? You're jealous of me, Yu Yao suddenly said. She couldn't let this woman pin the crime of trying to assassinate Princess Qing Guan on her head. Her heart was burning with anxiety, so she blurted out those words. She regretted it as soon as she finished speaking, but there was no time to regret it now. She could only brace herself and endure. Why would I be jealous of you? Shi Shang narrowed his eyes. General Cong Lan and I are close, but we're just ordinary friends. There's no need for you to target me like this. Yu Yao gave herself a thumbs up in her heart after she finished speaking. It shouldn't matter if I say it like this, right? Oh, why would this consort target you for General Cong Lan's sake? Shi Shang's tone was as calm as ever. Yu Yao was flabbergasted. Why is this woman always so unpredictable? You're going to marry General Cong Lan. Shouldn't you? But this consort doesn't even know you. How can I target you? His Highness has just arrived in Chong'an City. He doesn't even know Miss N, so why would he target her? Miss N, on the other hand, came to assassinate His Highness in the middle of the night. Fortunately, His Highness has learned some martial arts. Otherwise, perhaps by now. As Bai Shi spoke, she began to cry. Shi Shang gave Bai Shi a look of praise. Now that's a godly assist. Shi Shang looked coldly at Yu Yao. Imperial Father didn't send this consort to Chen to be treated like this. Since that's the case, it doesn't matter if we don't get along well with this marriage. I'm sure Imperial Father won't blame this consort. With just a few sentences, Shi Shang brought this matter up to a political marriage. The Chen Emperor's expression changed. Qing Guan girl, we'll definitely give you an explanation for this. There's no need. This consort has never been treated like this before. Shi Shang stood up and looked towards Cong Lan. Since General Cong Lan and Miss An are in love with each other, this consort won't be the bad guy. Otherwise, outsiders will say that this consort is shameless. I'm not. Yu Yao shook her head. She couldn't explain herself even if she was in the right. Miss An, since you like him, you should pursue him boldly. Why resort to such means? Shi Shang looked at Yu Yao. His tone was calm, but his eyes were filled with malice. If you don't act, he'll become someone else's sooner or later. Yu Yao wanted to strangle Shi Shang. This woman is doing this on purpose, isn't she? Shi Shang turned around and bowed to the Chen Emperor. Out of consideration for Miss N's infatuation, I implore Chen Emperor to grant General Cong Lan and Miss N their wish. Qing Guan girl. Don't worry, Chen Emperor. I'll persuade Imperial Father. She paused for a moment. I didn't agree to this from the start. Since it can be resolved this way, it's a happy ending for everyone. A melon that's forcefully plucked isn't sweet. The Astro Emperor looked at Shi Shang and sighed in the end. He was worried that Nan Jin and Chu Yang would join forces. Since she said that she wouldn't become enemies with Chen over this, he had nothing to worry about. Qing Guan girl is so magnanimous. It's truly rare. The Chen Emperor praised her as if she were his own daughter. Shi Shang accepted the gift without a change in his expression. However, he still didn't want to let the male and female leads off. Chen Emperor, you must grant them their wish. For Miss N to go this far for General Cong Lan, I can only sigh in admiration. This. The Chen Emperor looked at Cong Lan hesitantly. Cong Lan's expression was indifferent. Yu Yao probably wanted to explain something, but no matter how much her lips moved, she couldn't make a sound. Shi Shang had a look that said, if you don't issue an edict today, this matter won't end. Even the Chan emperor couldn't figure out what this little girl was thinking. Whether the assassination was real or not, they all knew in their hearts. But why was she forcing him to issue an edict to matchmake Zhonglan and a Yueyao? Asterisk 3. 500 recommendation votes. Chapter 244. The next day, rumors spread like wildfire that General Zhonglan's lover had assassinated Princess Qing Guan out of jealousy because she was about to marry him. Princess Qing Guan understood his true feelings and didn't want to break them up, so she asked the Chen Emperor to grant their wish and withdraw voluntarily. Shi Shang won a lot of good reviews. Your Highness, this is why you forced the Chen Emperor to issue an edict. Bai Shi looked at Shi Shang with admiration. This way, even if Her Highness didn't agree to the marriage and returned to South Jin, people would only say that she was righteous and righteous. You're thinking too much. Shi Shang glanced at Bai Shi. She wasn't in the mood to worry about her reputation. She wanted the female lead to openly tear down the male lead's peach blossoms. If she did it in secret, the male lead might think, this girl is quite cute. But if she did it openly, it would be a different story. This was jealousy. It was a taboo for men. What do you mean by thinking too much? Isn't that the case? We're not going back to South Jin. Write a letter back and tell someone from the palace that I want to stay in Chong'an for a while. Shi Shang instructed Bai Shi, also, buy a residence. With the female lead here, she naturally couldn't leave. The Prime Minister brought Yu Yao back to his residence. The Prime Minister, who had always doted on Yu Yao, was angry. He ignored her injuries and made her kneel in the courtyard. And Yu Yao, are you trying to drag the entire Prime Minister's residence down with you? The Prime Minister poked Yu Yao's forehead. Look at what you've done. That's Princess Qing Guan, the most favored princess of South Jin. What are you doing at her place in the middle of the night? Father, Yu Yao felt wronged. I really didn't want to assassinate her. She's slandering me. Humph, you think I don't know your guts? The Prime Minister harumphed loudly, then softened his tone. But you did appear at her place in the middle of the night. This is an indisputable fact. If she insists on His Majesty beheading you, His Majesty will definitely abandon you for the sake of peace between the two countries and the people. Even I can't protect you. Chen had been plagued with natural disasters for the past 2 years. That was why His Majesty wanted to marry her. The most important thing was to prevent South Jin and Chu from joining forces. If the most favored princess of the South Jin kingdom was wronged here, would the South Jin kingdom let the Chen stave off? Father. Yu Yao looked at the Prime Minister. Although he wasn't her biological father, she had always enjoyed the fatherly love that the Prime Minister had given her. She was very touched. Looking at the Prime Minister's helpless face, she couldn't help but feel sad. It's all that Princess Qing Guan's fault. Not only did she attack me, she even slandered me. Yueyao, tell me honestly. Did you offend her in any way? Yu Yao shook her head blankly. She's only been in Chong'an for a day. How could I have offended her? Then why did you go to her place in the middle of the night? Speaking of this, the Prime Minister became angry again. How could a girl run out in the middle of the night? How could Yu Yao say such words? She bit her lip and lowered her head, not saying a word. The Prime Minister frowned as several thoughts flashed through his mind. Yu Yao, you don't really like Zhonglan, do you? Who likes him? Yu Yao blurted out. The Prime Minister had lived for more than half his life. How could he not tell that Yu Yao was lying? She didn't even know it. The Prime Minister shook his head. Since things were already like this, he could only take one step at a time. The Prime Minister couldn't figure out what Princess Qing Guan was planning. Zhonglan and the Chan sovereign couldn't figure it out either. Unfortunately, the princess was still living in Chen. She even bought a residence and seemed to be planning to stay there for a long time. The annulment of the engagement between Princess Qing Guan and General Zhonglan became a hot topic after meals. The South Jin kingdom quickly sent the annulment letter. Although the Chen sovereign felt a little uncomfortable, he still stamped it with his jade seal. The annulment letter was annulled, but Princess Qing Guan remained in Chong'an. No one knew what she was doing there. Song Lan and Yu Yao's wedding was set for the 10th day of the second lunar month. It was a day of heavy snow. Shi Shang was wrapped in a fox fur coat as he watched the fiery red wedding procession pass through the white snow below. Joyous laughter filled his ears. "Your Highness, how much longer are we going to stay here?" Bai Shi asked cautiously. His Majesty's letters were sent to him almost every day. "It's still early," Shi Shang replied faintly as he leaned against the window. "Your Highness, His Majesty is angry that we didn't go back for the New Year." "That's all the more reason we can't go back." Shi Shang turned to look at Bai Shi and said seriously, "We'll go back when Imperial Father's anger subsides." Bai Shi was speechless. "Your Highness, if you continue being so willful, His Majesty will definitely come for you." Shi Shang refused to leave, so Bai Shi couldn't do anything about it. The Chen sovereign didn't make any other moves aside from sending people to inquire about the situation. After Cong Lan and Yu Yao got married, they lived a peaceful life. However, Cong Lan still had many suitors. Even after he got married, those girls who were tied to him still threw themselves at him dauntlessly. Spring was warm and the flowers were in full bloom. It was time for an outing. Shi Shang had been cooped up in the residence for so long that he was starting to get moldy, so he was forced to come out for an outing by Bai Shi. A few beautifully dressed girls saw the luxurious and exquisite carriage coming towards them from afar. The carriage was covered with a thin veil with bells hanging from it, jingling as the horses galloped. One of the girls pointed at the carriage and asked curiously, "Isn't that Princess Qing Guan's carriage? Why is she here too?" "Sure, keep your voice down. I heard that this princess is not only petty, but also very vengeful." The others looked curiously at the girl in blue. "Who did you hear that from?" Blue lowered her voice. "I saw it with my own eyes. Last time, the Minister of Personnel saw Princess Qing Guan and wanted to take liberties with her. But what happened? Hurry up and tell us. Don't spoil our appetite." Blue's voice became even quieter. "She crippled him. I heard that the Minister of Personnel came to talk to her, but she had him beaten up." "That can't be." The girls covered their mouths, their faces full of shock. "This is Chen, not South Jin. How can she be so arrogant? Doesn't His Majesty care?" Blue shook her head. "How can he care? So many people saw Princess Qing Guan being taken liberties with. If this matter really gets out, that minister will probably lose his life. Why is she so precious?" Someone said sourly. "She was just taken liberties with, yet she wants to take his life. That's too vicious." "That's right. None of our princesses are like her. She's the princess of South Jin, and the most favored one at that. If something happens to her in Chen, it's not just a country's problem." Sure, stop talking. It's coming." Blue hurriedly signaled for the others to shut up. The others quickly shut their mouths and stood to the side, watching the carriage with different expressions as it approached. Gangwon thanks to Cherub for the tip. Chapter 245. The carriage stopped not far from them, but no one came down. They waited for a while, but when they saw that no one came down, they looked at each other and pretended not to see anything. They went their separate ways. Shi Shang leaned against the carriage and closed his eyes to rest. Bai Shi was brewing tea beside him. She wanted to complain that there was no difference between brewing tea here and brewing tea in the manor. But when she saw Shi Shang's relaxed expression, she suppressed her complaints. Shi Shang stayed in the carriage. More and more people gathered outside, but no one came forward to disturb her. Instead, they pointed at the carriage and gossiped. Bai Shi secretly lifted the curtain and peeked outside. When she heard the intermittent discussions, her expression turned ugly. She slammed the curtain down and said angrily, "Your Highness, it was clearly the son of the Minister of Personnel who offended you first. Why are these people gossiping? If they were really the ones who had been molested, they might even try to kill themselves. No, they're going too far." Bai Shi said as she tried to get out of the carriage. Let them talk, Shi Shang said indifferently. There are too many people who are jealous of me. It's not worth wasting my time on them. Bai Shi's anger suddenly deflated like a balloon. Your Highness, can you be any more narcissistic? Just as they were talking, there was a sudden scream outside. Bai Shi immediately lifted the curtain and looked outside. She saw splashing water from the lake in the distance and said in surprise, Hey, someone fell into the water. Let's go down and take a look. Hearing this, Bai Shi immediately helped Shi Shang down. The people who had been pointing at the carriage earlier were now gathered by the small lake and craning their necks to look into the lake. Shi Shang used her status as a princess to easily enter the lake. The people around her consciously distanced themselves from Shi Shang, so there was a vacuum around her. Shi Shang was happy. No one would complain about the spacious area. At this moment, two people were struggling in the lake. One was the female lead, and the other was the girl in the blue dress who had spoken earlier. The two of them sank in the lake, and the people on the shore rushed to save them. In the end, the young masters in the distance noticed that something was wrong and ran over to save the two of them. Yu Yao's hair was messy and her clothes were drenched. However, her figure wasn't that great, so nothing could be seen. The girl in the blue dress was in a miserable state. Her figure was too good. Although the weather wasn't very hot, she was wearing thin clothes. When wet, her exquisite figure was immediately outlined vividly. Many of the young masters who had run over to watch the show shamelessly glanced at the girl in the blue dress. The blue skirt girl's face was pale, and she glared angrily at those people. A few people who were on good terms with the blue skirt girl immediately stepped forward and used their bodies to block her. Some people even took off their cloaks and wrapped them around the blue skirt girl. The others could only look away awkwardly. Everyone knew each other, and it would be beneath them to be too deliberate. Why did you fall into the water? The people next to blue skirt lady began to ask. It's all because of her, that jinx. The blue dress girl glared at Yu Yao. You don't even know how to walk properly. Why did you come out? I didn't do it on purpose. Yu Yao glared back, unwilling to be outdone. Didn't I go down with you? You still think you're in the right. The blue dress girl frowned. I think you did it on purpose. I didn't. Yu Yao really didn't do it on purpose. Who knew that she would fall? She just happened to be next to her. The road over there is so wide, but you didn't walk. You just had to walk in my direction. If you didn't do it on purpose, then what did you do? The blue dress girl's IQ was probably online, as she spoke very eloquently. The female lead loudly defended herself, but no one spoke up for her. She seemed a little pale. She was married to Cong Lan, the prince charming in the hearts of all the women in Chong An City. If they didn't target her, who else would they target? As the two of them talked, they suddenly started to fight. Shi Shang counted silently in his heart. If the female lead and the supporting female lead fell into the water, the male lead would definitely appear. He would either help the female lead or the supporting female lead. Slap. Yu Yao slapped the blue dress girl in the face. Shi Shang counted down the last number in his heart. General Tsong. Someone called out in a low voice and automatically stepped aside to make a path. A tall and handsome figure quickly walked over from the distance. However, he wasn't looking at Yu Yao. Instead, he directly picked up the blue dress girl. Cong Lan. Yu Yao panicked and raised her hand. I escort the madam back to her residence, Cong Lan ordered indifferently, then left with the blue dress girl in his arms. The blue dress girl wrapped her arms around Cong Lan's neck and raised her eyebrows at Yu Yao smugly when Cong Lan couldn't see her. Yu Yao was so angry that her face alternated between green and white. However, when she turned her head, she was met with Shi Shang's mocking smile. She suddenly felt a surge of anger in her heart. Madam Tsong, why are you looking at Her Highness like that? You don't even salute Her Highness when you see her. Is this how Qin teaches you? Bai Shi spoke sternly. The first sentence was directed at Yu Yao, but the second sentence was directed at the others. Being suddenly dragged into this matter, those people glared at Yu Yao angrily. Then, they reluctantly saluted Shi Sheng. Greetings, Princess Qing Guan. Chapter 246. After Yu Yao returned, she also caught a cold. However, the closer Song Lan got to that girl in the blue dress, the more irritable Yu Yao got. There was a red string tied between them, so they were attracted to each other. If she didn't break them up, Song Lan would probably marry her soon. When Yu Yao heard that Song Lan was having a meal with Wei Ling in the blue dress at Wind Moon Pavilion, she went to look for them without caring about her health. When Yu Yao entered the door, she bumped into Shi Sheng. "Your Highness." Bai Shi anxiously supported Shi Sheng. Shi Sheng sighed. The female lead and the supporting female lead were indeed bound by fate. They could meet anywhere. Yu Yao was so anxious that she didn't even look at who she bumped into and directly went upstairs. Bai Shi frowned and ordered the guards behind her to stop her. "What are you doing?" Yu Yao raised her head and glared at them. "Do you think you can just leave after bumping into His Highness?" Bai Shi turned around and walked over to Yu Yao. Yu Yao's heart skipped a beat when she saw Bai Shi. Why did she keep running into her wherever she went? "I didn't do it on purpose," Yu Yao muttered. "Do you think you can erase the fact that you bumped into His Highness if you didn't do it on purpose?" Bai Shi was so angry that she laughed. This and Yu Yao, why did she keep saying that she didn't do it on purpose? Yu Yao frowned and glared back at her. "Why are you being so fierce? Didn't your mistress say anything? Besides, it's just a bump. Nothing serious happened. Is a princess that delicate? What's wrong with being a princess? Is being a princess that great? I'm an immortal." She didn't even say anything. Shi Sheng blushed with shame. This female lead's temper is too scary. Bai Shi was so angry that she laughed. "If something really happened to His Highness, would you still be standing here?" Yu Yao's voice trailed off as she stared fixedly at the stairs. Song Lan and Wei Ling were standing side by side in the corridor, staring at her. Song Lan came down from the second floor. Without even looking at Yu Yao, he cupped his hands to Shi Sheng. "Princess Qing Guan, please forgive my wife's rudeness. This subject will definitely teach her proper etiquette. General Song Lan is truly affectionate." Shi Sheng looked at Song Lan with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. "But this rule can't be broken. It's fine if she offends me, BG. At most, I'll just have to cut off one of her arms and let her live. But if she offends the Chan Emperor or other nobles, well, it's hard to say." Song Lan. His arm was going to be amputated, and he was fine with that. Song Lan took a deep breath, and his attitude became even more sincere. "Princess Qing Guan is magnanimous. Please forgive my wife this once." The Shi Sheng replied faintly, "I'm not an adult. I'm only in my 20s. Shi Sheng was twisting words and forcing logic. "Princess Qing Guan, how can I forgive my wife?" The woman in front of him was clearly looking for trouble, and she even had a legitimate reason. He couldn't possibly hang out with her, right? Shi Sheng smiled and said generously, "I don't want her arm. It's not good to see blood today. Just let her apologize." This request was indeed not too much. Song Lan looked at Yu Yao and said in a low voice, "Apologize to Princess Qing Guan." The female lead probably had a rebellious mentality towards the male lead. The more the male lead said this, the more displeased the female lead became. Furthermore, Song Lan was with Wei Ling, so Yu Yao was even more unwilling to listen to Song Lan. "Why should I?" Yu Yao straightened her neck, feeling very reasonable. She didn't look around when she went out, and now she's blaming me? Shi Sheng gave the female lead a thumbs up in his heart. "If you keep acting like this, I won't even have to break up this couple myself." Song Lan felt a wave of disappointment in his heart. Ever since he married her, the general's estate had never had peace. The girl he used to find cute seemed to be gradually disappearing. "Song Lan apologizes to Princess Qing Guan on behalf of my wife." Songlon suddenly bowed deeply. Shi Sheng blinked. I can't accept it. Even though he said he couldn't accept it, his expression was one of peace. Since General Songlon has spoken, I won't pursue the matter this time. But next time, I won't be so kind. Shi Sheng smiled at Yu Yao. You're just the Prime Minister's daughter. There's His Majesty, princes, and princesses above you. Don't dig your own grave. Even if she married Songlon now, she would only be a general's wife. How high could her status be? Shi Sheng nodded at Songlon, then arrogantly left Wind Moon Pavilion with his entourage. Songlon brought Yu Yao back to the estate. With a cold expression, Songlon ordered someone to hire a nanny to teach her the rules and forbade her from going out. Without Yu Yao's obstruction, Songlon and Wei Ling were quickly married into the general's estate. News of Yu Yao's fall from grace also spread through the circle. When they first got married, the two of them were inseparable, making others envious and jealous. However, not long after, Songlon took a concubine. Yu Yao was so angry that she cried. She resented Shi Sheng even more. If it weren't for her, she would have broken up Songlon and Wei Ling long ago. How could she have allowed them to be together? After marrying into the estate, Wei Ling was sensible and well-behaved. She also worshipped and respected Songlon very much. In the face of Yu Yao's unreasonable tantrums, Songlon naturally sided with Wei Ling. Yu Yao tried every possible way to break them apart. Songlon's patience was slowly wearing away by her. The next time Shi Sheng saw Yu Yao was at a palace banquet. Yu Yao was sitting next to Songlon. Her complexion didn't look very good. Her face was no longer as delicate and cute as before. Right now, she looked like a jealous woman. When she saw Shi Sheng looking at her, she glared at him fiercely. Shi Sheng calmly looked away. Yu Yao gnashed her teeth in anger. During the palace banquet, the Chen Emperor asked Shi Sheng a few questions. He was probably trying to find out when she would leave. Ever since she started living in Chong'an, those hedonistic sons of rich families in Chong, and were about to grow hairs at home. The Chen Emperor was furious. Those people who said that Princess Qing Guan was a well-educated, virtuous, elegant, and talented woman. Were they all blind? She was simply an unreasonable, hedonistic princess. He thought she wouldn't leave, but who knew she would actually give him a clear answer? She would leave in a month. In another month, the war would start. She still had a mission to become a high god, so she naturally couldn't stay here any longer. Moreover, the female lead didn't need her to do anything for now. Once she returned to the heavenly realm, there would be a good show to watch. When they heard that Shi Sheng was leaving, the hedonistic sons of rich families who attended the palace banquet were all excited. This scourge was finally gone. When they thought of the scene where they were collectively punished by the lake, they couldn't help but cry in their hearts. After the palace banquet ended, the crowd dispersed one after another. Your Highness, aren't we leaving? Bai Shi asked Shi Sheng when she saw that most of the people had left. There'll be a show to watch later. Shi Sheng winked mysteriously at Bai Shi. A show? Your Highness, when have you ever watched a show without drawing hatred for yourself? Bai Shi didn't want to watch a show. Of course, her opinion didn't matter. His Highness had the final say. When most of the people had left, Shi Sheng stood up and walked out. Outside, a palace servant walked in front of him with a lantern in hand, leading the way. The huge palace was actually hidden in darkness. There wasn't much light that could be seen. It wasn't as dazzling and resplendent as it was on TV. There was only darkness and desolation. Apart from their footsteps, there was no other sound. * pleading votes. Chapter 247. I know it's a bit abrupt, but I don't have to. Intermittent voices came from the front. The palace servant leading the way slowed down a bit, probably not knowing whether to continue forward or stop. There were some things that couldn't be heard here. Shi Sheng didn't stop, so the person in front had no choice but to brace himself and walk forward. The voices gradually became clearer. Your Highness, Why are you so stubborn about this subject? We've known each other since we were young. Song Lon Gij, I thought you understood me, but, you married a Nueyao, the woman sobbed softly. People who were drawn by red strings couldn't help but fall in love with each other. Although Tsong Lan was somewhat conflicted, he couldn't resist the power of red strings. Don't cry, princess. I've let you down. Tsong Lon Gij, marry me. I don't care about status. As long as you marry me, I'm willing to be your concubine. Shi Shang's footsteps paused as she listened to the conversation. The palace servant leading the way was forced to stop and pretend that he was deaf and couldn't hear anything. The one confessing to Tsong Lan was the youngest 9th princess of Chen. She was also one of the more pitiful ones. Back then, in order to separate the 9th princess, the female lead schemed to marry her off to the distant Chuyang kingdom. Later, when the war broke out, the 9th princess had a miserable life there. The 9th princess cried as she recounted her childhood memories. In the end, she confessed with deep feelings. Tsong Lan struggled for a while, but in the end, he agreed. Shi Shang felt like he had entered the wrong plot. This was developing into a harem of stud men. What are you doing? Yu Yao's voice suddenly rang out, followed by the crisp sound of a slap and the 9th princess's scream. "And Nueyao!" Tsong Lan reprimanded sternly. She even dared to hit a princess now. Yu Yao only realized she had been impulsive after hitting them. When she saw them hugging each other just now, she couldn't control herself. This matter was quickly reported to the Chan Emperor. If Qing Guan was the most favored princess of South Jin, then the 9th princess was the most favored princess of Chen. How could the Chan Emperor delay the matter when his precious daughter was hit? He immediately summoned the matter to the throne room. As an outsider, Shi Shang naturally couldn't go and watch. However, it was said that Yu Yao had been beaten and the Astro Sovereign had also ordered the 9th princess to be betrothed to Tsong Lan. Although Yu Yao was not stripped of her position as the official wife, the 9th princess was on equal footing with Yu Yao. The day Shi Shang left Chong, and was the day of 9th princess's marriage. The war between the three kingdoms was soon ignited. The Shi Shang led his troops into battle. She had seen Tsong Lan once on the battlefield, but before she had the chance to fight him, she never saw him again on the battlefield. It was only when she led the army into Chong, and that she found out that Tsong Lan was dead. The cause of death was the plague. Tsong Lan had failed his tribulation. Shi Shang led the South Jin kingdom and took 3 years to conquer the world. On the day the emperor of the South Jin kingdom ascended the throne, an auspicious sign descended from the heavens and golden light shone on the South Jin kingdom palace. The next day, Princess Qing Guan passed away and her palace made by she was buried with her. The deepest impression Princess Qing Guan had left in most people's hearts was, his words were unpleasant, his attitude was arrogant, his character was arrogant, his temper was irritable, and he was hard to get along with. But they couldn't deny that she did have the ability to do so. Background, appearance, talent, martial arts, and strategy, she didn't lack any of these. Many people sighed and sighed at the early death of such a princess. Shi Shang returned to the heavenly realm. Qing Guan was the second generation of a god. Her parents were both ancient gods, but they had already fallen. She lived alone in Verdant Palace. On the day she returned to the heavenly realm, people came to congratulate her. She was the 4th high god of the heavenly realm. This was a joyous occasion, so of course they would come to suck up to her first. The Jade Emperor's decree soon arrived. First, he congratulated her on her ascension to high god. Then, he told her that a celebration ceremony would be held in 3 days. This was all part of the heavenly realm's protocol. Even if Shi Shang didn't want to, he couldn't refuse. After that, Shi Shang didn't bother to deal with those who came to visit and directly closed Verdant Palace. Those people were rejected and could only leave in embarrassment. She was now a high god. They couldn't afford to offend her. 3 days later, Shi Shang arrived at the venue where the ceremony was to be held. Qing Guan rarely left Verdant Palace. She spent most of her time in seclusion, so most people in the heavenly realm had only heard of her name. The number of people who had seen her could be counted on one hand. Qing Guan didn't wear the white clothes that high gods wore to show off their celestial aura. Instead, she wore a dark green dress. As soon as she walked in, she was like a drop of ink on a piece of white paper, very conspicuous. Before she even got close, she could already hear many people whispering, "That's High God Qing Guan? She's so beautiful." They used to say that High God Qing Guan didn't step out of Verdant Palace because she was ugly. I really believed them. What high god? She's now a high god. She's on the same level as the Jade Emperor. Someone next to him immediately corrected him. High God Qing Guan's mother was once the #1 beauty in the heavenly realm. Her father was a dragon among men. He was extraordinarily handsome. How could High God Qing Guan be ugly? That's what people say. High God Qing Guan doesn't leave Verdant Palace. Who knows what she looks like? I heard that High God Qing Guan is only 30,000 years old. She's the youngest High God, right? If she's staying in Verdant Palace, she must be cultivating. She's not like you people who spend all your time outside. It's already a blessing from the heavens that you managed to become a high immortal. You make it sound like you've been cultivating seriously. High God Qing Guan doesn't have a partner yet, right? If someone can become her partner. That person only said half of what he wanted to say, leaving the rest to their imagination. However, no one answered him. Instead, they all looked at him strangely. Some people even winked at him. What are you doing? What's there to be embarrassed about? Although High God Qing Guan is a bit powerful, she's still so pretty. It'll be a lot of face if word gets out. The person next to him pinched him, and he screamed in pain. If you want to catch my eye, your looks won't do. He heard a clear female voice behind him. The tone of the voice was very calm. That person turned around and saw that High God Qing Guan, who had been far away a moment ago, was now standing a few steps away from him. She was looking at him calmly. A small section of her dark green dress was hidden in the clouds on the ground, faintly discernible. Upon closer inspection, one would notice that the dress was embroidered with strange patterns. When she moved, the patterns seemed to come to life and a golden light flowed through them. High God Qing Guan! He cried out in surprise. Then, he lowered his head and said in fear, "This little immortal has offended the High God. Please forgive me. Everyone loves beauty. How can you say that I offended you?" Shi Shang began to bite his words and pretended to be pretentious. "However, with your looks, you really don't deserve me. Don't even think about it." That person blushed with shame. No one told him that the High God was so narcissistic. The corners of the others' mouths twitched. This High God style was actually like this. That person bowed even lower and said sincerely, "You're right, High God." Shi Shang stopped looking at him and looked ahead. The Jade Emperor and the Queen Mother were sitting at the top, dressed in their golden dragon robes. Shi Shang immediately saw Cong Lan sitting to the Jade Emperor's right. After changing into a spotless white robe, Cong Lan immediately looked cold and elegant, making him look like an ascetic Prince Charming. Shi Shang's lips twitched into a smile. * pleading votes. Chapter 248. However, Cong Lan calmly nodded at her as if he didn't know her. This shouldn't be the case. Her appearance in the mortal world was very similar to the one she was using now, and her name was also the same. Even if Cong Lan was a fool, he would still be able to guess who she was. What was the meaning of his "I don't know you"? "Oh, I'm just greeting you politely, look. Baby. Suddenly don't understand this trick. High God Qing Guan, please take a seat." Two attendants appeared in front of Shi Shang and respectfully invited her. There was an empty seat beside the Queen Mother, and the child led her to that seat. Including her, there were a total of 4 high gods in the god realm. 2 of them were not here. They were either in seclusion or not in the god realm. The Jade Emperor and Queen Mother weren't high gods, so they had to be careful around them. The exalted gods had no authority, but they had power. The Jade Emperor and Queen Mother didn't have the strength, but they had the power. It was similar to checks and balances. Congratulations, High God Qing Guan. The Jade Emperor was the first to speak. It's my duty. The original owner of the body had worked hard for a long time, so it was natural for him to become a god. Therefore, Shi Shang agreed shamelessly. The Jade Emperor felt awkward. How am I supposed to respond to your words? The Queen Mother broke the silence with a smile. High God Qing Guan is still as mischievous as ever. That's right. Back then, you were still so small. The Jade Emperor went along with the Queen Mother's words. Now that you're a high god, time really flies. It's only 30,000 years. It'll be over after a few rounds of closed-door cultivation. What's so fast about it? Shi Shang continued to show off. Jade Emperor. There was really no way to continue this conversation. Queen Mother of the West. Was she bragging about how she became a high god in 30,000 years? The two of them looked at each other. As expected, there was no way to continue the conversation. Let's get to the point. The ceremony was carried out according to the procedure. It was complicated and trivial. Other than the people who were discussing happily below, other than Song Lan who seemed to be thinking about something, the others were all feeling very awkward. This exalted god was too difficult to deal with. Talking to her was enough to anger someone to death. The Jade Emperor and the Queen Mother immediately left after the ceremony ended. He did not want to talk to this exalted god at all. Some of the braver people went up to speak, but they were choked speechless after a few sentences. If you congratulated her, she would accept it with an honest expression and not forget to praise herself in the end. You asked her if it was fun to descend to the lower bound? She told you to try it yourself. In short, the conversation that day was strangely awkward. Very few people could talk to her for more than 5 sentences. High God Song Lan, I'm sorry for the delay. Is the ceremony over? A young girl dressed in red came in from outside the palace and went straight to where Song Lan was. Her little face was dyed red and she looked exceptionally cute. Yes. Song Lan nodded slightly. Let's go back. The red-clothed girl had a look of pity on her face. She wanted to see if this high god Qing Guan, who was rumored to be unbearably ugly, was truly unbearably ugly. I really don't know what kind of luck Yue Yao has to be able to catch High God Song Lan's eye. Why did High God Song Lan take a fancy to her? She has neither the figure nor the looks. Why is Yu Yao so lucky? The Jade Emperor is really something. He didn't remove her from her post even though she made such huge mistakes in the past. Who asked her to be so lucky? Shi Shang looked in the direction of the female immortal's discussion. The red-clothed girl was skipping along beside Song Lan. A red and a white figure slowly walked over from the front. Shi Shang listened for a while longer before he could make out the gist of it. Song Lan had suffered from melodramatic amnesia. But he actually remembered Yu Yao. What's more, it was different from his real memories. After returning to the heavenly realm, High God Song Lan, who had always been aloof, actually allowed Yu Yao to appear by his side. Shi Shang face-bombed. Plot Sama, you're really asking for a beating, you know? It's enough for the male and female leads to be together like this. When Yu Yao came in earlier, she didn't see Shi Shang who was blocked. Now that she came out, she could see him. When Yu Yao saw Shi Shang, she was stunned. It's you. Yu Yao was wondering why the name Qing Guan sounded so familiar. It turned out that she was the high god Qing Guan who was rumored to be too ugly to show her face. It was also because of this rumor that Yu Yao didn't think of her as high god Qing Guan. The surroundings suddenly quieted down. Countless pairs of eyes looked at the three of them. The words gossip, come and watch were written all over their faces. The more Yu Yao thought about it, the more she felt that something was amiss. Did she know my identity long ago when she targeted me back then? Did you do it on purpose back then? Yu Yao was an impulsive person. She blurted out as soon as she thought of something. Huh? Yu Yao and High God Qing Guan know each other? The gossipy crowd started to get excited. I don't think so. High God Qing Guan doesn't even leave Verdant Palace. How could she know Yu Yao? The crowd was waiting to watch a good show. There was definitely something fishy going on here. Shi Shang's lips curled up. This idiot. Without the male lead's help, even plot Sama can't save your IQ. What did I do to you back then? The discussions around her calmed Yu Yao down. But since she'd already said it, how could she take it back? Let's talk somewhere else. Yu Yao lowered her voice. Who do you think you are? Shi Shang suddenly raised his voice. Why should I talk somewhere else? A trace of panic flashed across Yu Yao's face. Why is this woman so hateful? High God Songlon. Yu Yao suddenly hid behind Songlon. Shi Shang seemed to hear a voice in his head. Congratulations to the female lead for activating the White Lotus skill. Shi Shang looked at Songlon gloomily. My dear male lead, you must hold on. If you continue to be unreasonable, I'm not sure if I'll go on a killing spree. Obviously, the male lead didn't hear Shi Shang's inner thoughts. He immediately shielded Yu Yao behind him. Yu Yao just wants to talk to you. Why do you have to be so fierce? Shi Shang sneered. She wants to talk to me? What does she want to talk to me about? She didn't do it on purpose when she pulled the wrong red string? She didn't do it on purpose when she almost caused me to fail my tribulation? Didn't you fail your tribulation? Yu Yao retorted indignantly. Is it my fault that I didn't fail my tribulation? You starved to death because you didn't eat, yet you're blaming others for not preparing their food? My dear female lead, it's very dangerous for you to have such thoughts. Yu Yao's face paled. That's not what I meant. I haven't even settled the score with you yet, but you've already delivered yourself to my doorstep. Let's settle this score today. This time, Yu Yao was truly panicking. She regretted her impulsive actions just now. Although Songlon had lost his memory, his intelligence was still intact. Seeing that Yu Yao's reaction wasn't right, he asked, Yu Yao, what's going on? Yu Yao herself didn't know why she had pulled High God Qingguan's red string to Songlon. Shi Shang sneered. If you can't explain it clearly, I'll help you. As the Moon Elder, you're in charge of marriage in the 3 realms, but you're careless. Because of your mistake, I almost failed my tribulation. Asterisk, tipping and updating. Thank you to you Chenzi, cherub for tipping. Please vote. Chapter 249. Shi Shang's voice was loud and clear, allowing everyone present to hear him clearly. She briefly explained the situation. Yu Yao got drunk and messed things up, tying her to Songlon and almost causing her to fail her ascension. Yu Yao was a muddle-headed person to begin with and had made many mistakes in the past. But because her muddle-headed personality was quite cute and she had a good attitude when admitting her mistakes, the others didn't really dislike her. It was only because she was suddenly so close to Songlon that some of the female immortals found her an eyesore. But they didn't expect her to make an even bigger mistake than before. This wasn't something that could be brushed aside with a few words. The immortals looked at Yu Yao strangely. I didn't do it on purpose. Yu Yao explained in a small voice. Then if I kill you and say that I didn't do it on purpose, will you come back to life and forgive me? But aren't you standing here perfectly fine? Yu Yao insisted. Shi Shang raised his brows. Then what if I failed my ascension? What would you say? Say that I'm not worthy of becoming an exalted god and that's why I failed my ascension. Isn't that your fault? I can't take it anymore. I'm going to chop this female lead into pieces. Shi Shang had just thought of this when he pulled out his iron sword. Qingguan, what are you doing? Songlon immediately stood in front of Yu Yao. Shi Shang flexed his wrists, a malicious smile on his lips. I'm going to try and kill her. Let's see if she can forgive me. Yu Yao trembled in fear. She was just a minor immortal. How could she be a match for an exalted god? If Qingguan really wanted to kill her, she wouldn't even have a chance to resist. Yu Yao's eyes darted around a few times. Then, as if she had thought of something, her eyes lit up. All the exalted lords in the heavenly realm keep their red strings for themselves. They only give them to me when they need them. Why is yours with me? Idiot. Shishang spat out these 2 words coldly. His figure flashed as he attacked the female lead. Song Lan blocked Shishang. Why don't you explain why your red string is with Yu Yao? A brain is a good thing. I hope you have one. Shishang's iron sword swept out, forcing Song Lan back. Then, he leaped up and landed in front of Yu Yao. Are you feeling guilty? You were the one who put the red string there. How can you blame me? Yu Yao said anxiously. Shishang's iron sword swung down without hesitation. Yu Yao had suffered at the hands of this iron sword before. When she saw the cold glint of the iron sword, her body went limp and she fell to the ground. She watched in horror as the sword fell. Ugh! A muffled groan sounded in her ears. She was encircled in someone's arms, completely blocking her view. High God Song Lan. Yu Yao's voice trembled slightly. He had actually blocked the attack for her. Shishang did not expect Song Lan to use his body to block the attack. He was stunned for a moment, but he still pulled it out and continued stabbing. Sending yourself to my doorstep for me to kill. It's impossible for me to be merciful. Shishang's ferocious appearance caused the onlookers to be flabbergasted. Heavens! This High God Qing Guan is too ferocious. Why isn't High God Song Lan fighting back? They had never seen 2 High Gods fight before. High God Song Lan, don't just stand there. Get up. Fight back. No matter what the onlookers thought, Song Lan did not resist. Song Lan's clothes were dyed red with blood, but he simply held Yu Yao in his arms and protected her from Shishang's attack. Shishang wanted to cripple him, but with High God Song Lan's strength, he was able to protect the important parts of his body, so he wasn't seriously injured. Shishang suddenly frowned and stopped. Song Lan turned around and looked at her coldly. Have you vented your anger? No. Shishang shook his head honestly, his expression full of ridicule and arrogance. Do you think you can write it off like this? Let me tell you, there's no way. She's the one in the wrong, so she has to pay the price. Even if you die, I won't let her off. If you don't pay the price for your mistakes, you won't learn your lesson. The female lead is too inexperienced and doesn't learn her lesson. She always takes other people's forgiveness for granted. If you do something wrong, just say you didn't do it on purpose and you'll be fine. If that was useful, why would we need the police? Do you think the police will let you off if you say you didn't do it on purpose? Idiot. Don't go too far, Song Lan growled. Fine, fine, fine. I'm going too far, as long as you're happy. But I don't want to let her off. What can you do about it? Shishang's lips curled into an arrogant smile. Qing Guan, don't forget that I'm also a high god. Song Lan's tone was laced with threat. Shishang acted as if he didn't hear Song Lan's words and replied indifferently, So what? You're a high god and you're awesome. Do you think you're invincible just because you've been called a high god for a few years? Idiot. Shishang's fearless and condescending attitude caused Song Lan to be so angry that he couldn't speak. The Jade Emperor and Queen Mother have arrived. Someone shouted from outside the hall. The onlookers immediately straightened their attitude and lowered their heads to respectfully welcome the Jade Emperor and Queen Mother. As soon as the Jade Emperor entered, he saw Song Lan half kneeling on the ground. His back was covered in blood, and he was protecting Yu Yao in his arms. Shishang was holding a sword that was still dripping with blood. His expression was arrogant and evil. The Queen Mother turned pale with fright. What's going on? Everything was fine when we left. Why are they fighting all of a sudden? And High God Song Lan is being bullied to this extent. Chapter 250. Yu Yao thought about it carefully. That does seem to be the case. How could I have forgotten such an important matter? Yu Yao panicked and didn't know what to do. High God Song Lan. She subconsciously grabbed Song Lan. Song Lan patted her head to comfort her. High God Qing Guan, today is your big day. Why don't we discuss this matter later? The Jade Emperor suggested tentatively. Shi Shang's gaze was as cold as ice, causing the Jade Emperor's scalp to go numb. It was as if Shi Shang was looking at an inanimate object. The Jade Emperor suddenly had a bad premonition. As expected, Shi Shang sneered, "Jade Emperor, you've helped her time and time again. What's her relationship with you?" It was one thing for the Jade Emperor to be biased once, but Yu Yao had done so many wrong things that the Jade Emperor had glossed over. Even this time, he had only asked Yu Yao to secretly descend to the lower realm without telling anyone. None of the immortals here knew that Yu Yao had descended to the lower realm or what she had done there. The Queen Mother's eyes darkened as she glared at the Jade Emperor. She felt that the Jade Emperor was being too lenient with Yu Yao. Although she had her suspicions, she didn't dare to voice them out. Now that Shi Shang had brought it up, how could she not take the opportunity to figure out what was going on? The Jade Emperor broke out in cold sweat. "This High God Qing Guan is really touching my sore spot. High God Qing Guan, don't think you can spout nonsense just because you're a high god. I have nothing to do with the Jade Emperor." Yu Yao exploded before the Jade Emperor could. This was slandering her relationship with the Jade Emperor. How could she remain calm? "It's not up to you to decide whether or not you have anything to do with him. The Jade Emperor and the Queen Mother haven't even said anything yet you're in such a hurry to deny your relationship. Isn't that even more suspicious? Idiot. How is it not up to me?" She was also involved, so how could her words not be up to the Jade Emperor? Shi Shang sneered. "Do you think your words carry more weight than the Jade Emperor's? Are you the one in charge of the heavenly realm, or is the Jade Emperor?" Although the female lead was muddle-headed, she was still intelligent enough to understand what Shi Shang was trying to say. Her expression abruptly changed as she glared at Shi Shang angrily. "That's not what I meant. High God Qing Guan, please don't misinterpret my meaning. Didn't you just say that I have the final say?" The surrounding immortals did not even dare to breathe too loudly. Today's show might cause someone to die. However, there were even more people who were suspicious of the relationship between Yu Yao and the Jade Emperor. Yu Yao was merely a minor immortal in the god realm. In the past, no one cared about her. But one day, the Jade Emperor suddenly promoted her to Yu Lao. After that, the Jade Emperor only punished her symbolically. It was obvious that he was biased. Jade Emperor. The Queen Mother's face was cold. "Aren't you going to explain?" The Jade Emperor wiped away his cold sweat and lowered his voice. "Queen Mother of the West, it's a long story. Let's go back and talk about it. Right now, we need to appease High God Qing Guan." The consequences of offending a high god were much more serious than Yu Yao. The Queen Mother was clear in her heart and didn't pursue the matter. If the Queen Mother didn't pursue the matter, the others definitely wouldn't dare to ask. The Jade Emperor sighed in relief and hurriedly gave Song Lan a look, telling him to stop Yu Yao and not let her speak nonsense. "High God Qing Guan, this matter was due to Yu Yao's incompetence. I'll remove her from the position of Yu Lao and punish her to repent at the Cliff of Reflection. What do you think?" And then, the Shi Shang raised his brows. The Jade Emperor was dumbfounded. "Isn't that enough? There's still more to come." Yu Yao glared angrily at the Shi Shang, but Song Lan didn't let her speak. "Isn't it just pulling the wrong red string? I wasn't even affected by the red string, yet you still want to pursue the matter? Isn't it just a high god? So what if it's a high god? It's all because I have good parents and was born a high god. If I were like them, I wouldn't be so glorious. High God Qing Guan, we'll see each other often. Why make things so tense? Once she goes to the Cliff of Reflection, Yu Yao will also be taught a lesson." The Jade Emperor emphasized the words Cliff of Reflection. That place was used to punish immortals who made mistakes. In that place, one's magic power couldn't be used at all. Immortals could only endure the cold and fire. Any immortal who went to the Cliff of Reflection would be traumatized upon hearing the words Cliff of Reflection. Shi Shang poked the ground with his iron sword. "It's pointless to kill her in one go. Shi Shang reluctantly agreed to the Jade Emperor's suggestion. Yu Yao was stripped of her position as Yu Lao and sent to the Cliff of Reflection to receive her punishment. Before leaving, Cong Lan glared fiercely at the Shi Shang. The corners of the Shi Shang's mouth twitched, and he returned a provocative smile. "I'm not afraid of you." After this incident, rumors spread in the heavenly realm that Yu Yao was the Jade Emperor's illegitimate daughter. Some even said that the Jade Emperor had fallen for Yu Yao. However, one of the parties involved was at the Cliff of Reflection, while the other didn't respond. The immortals kept guessing about this matter. Immortals had long lives. They didn't have much entertainment aside from gossip. How could they let go of such a material? Thus, all kinds of rumors began to spread. Meanwhile, the Shi Shang had already left the heavenly realm and arrived at the wasteland at the edge of the heavenly realm. The greatest villain in this story was Dong Jing, a fiendish god in the Great Desolation Realm. The Great Desolation Realm was a small world. There were all kinds of things in it: humans, demonic beasts, demons, gods. Dong Jing was a god. He was very close to becoming a high god. However, he gave up at the last moment. After causing a ruckus in the heavenly realm, he went to the Great Desolation Realm. No one knew what had happened back then. The Shi Shang wandered around the entrance of the Great Desolation Realm for several days before he found the way in. The Great Desolation Realm was truly a wasteland. There wasn't a single bit of greenery in sight. There were only rocks and flying sand, not to mention any signs of human habitation. Since all directions were the same, the Shi Shang could only choose a random direction to walk in. "Save me! Save me! Save me!" The cries for help came from a rock next to the Shi Shang. The Shi Shang looked up and saw something strange lying there. The cries for help were coming from there. The Shi Shang jumped up the rock and saw what it was. Its body was covered with sharp spikes and barbs. It was actually a hedgehog. Moreover, it was a very large hedgehog. This thing could also cultivate into a demon? How mysterious! "Save me!" When the hedgehog saw the Shi Shang, its small eyes lit up with hope. However, the Shi Shang only stood at a distance. He had no intention of coming closer. "Do you know where Dong Jing is?" Dong Jing. Why are you looking for him?" The hedgehog was obviously scared. Its body was trembling. "I'm looking for him to eat," the Shi Shang said calmly. The hedgehog. "Is there something wrong with you? Looking for that demon to eat?" The hedgehog rolled its eyes. "I know where he is, but I can't move. You have to help me." The corners of the Shi Shang's eyes curled up. "Sure." She took out her iron sword and slashed at the hedgehog. Before the greed in its eyes could fully emerge, its gaze was fixed on her. "I'll help you ascend to the heavens. No need to thank me. Mothaf *Ker. Even a hedgehog wants to scheme against I. Do I really look like I'm that easy to bully? Little fairy. Do you have a ticket? Cherub. No. Little fairy, if you don't have one, I'll send you to heaven. Cherub. Yes. Chapter 251. After the hedgehog was killed, a few more popped up. They were waiting for her to fall into the trap, but Shi Shang cut the bait and the hedgehogs couldn't stand still. They jumped out and glared at Shi Shang fiercely. Shi Shang swung his iron sword and glanced at the hedgehogs surrounding her calmly. With such a small group of people, hedgehogs, they still want to rob? Dream on. The hedgehogs' attacks were a bit strange. The spikes on their bodies could actually split into poisonous spikes. But these attacks were basically useless against Shi Shang. She cut down the rest of the hedgehogs in no time at all. Shi Shang met some other animals later on, but they were all in the same pattern. First, they tried to lure her. If that didn't work, they would attack. However, their attacks were too weak. Shi Shang avoided them whenever he saw them. His hands were sore from killing them. Shi Shang didn't know how long he had been walking, but he finally met someone. It was a half-dead person. It was a young girl, about 12 or 13 years old. Her face was childish, and she looked like she could die at any time. Shi Shang squatted beside the girl and searched her belongings. There was only a letter. The handwriting on the letter was so messy that Shi Shang didn't want to recognize it. Shi Shang didn't open the letter. He stuffed it back into her hand. After thinking for a while, he carried the girl to a rock in the distance. The girl woke up from the pain. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw a sword reflecting a cold light. From the blade, she could clearly see her own bloodless face. The tip of the sword was pressed against her neck. She felt a warm and sticky liquid sliding down her neck. Was this person trying to kill her? You woke up quickly. Shi Shang moved the iron sword away. If she hadn't woken up just now, she would be a corpse now. The girl was so scared that her face turned pale. Her lips trembled, and her eyes were filled with fear and despair. Shi Shang. Did I look that scary? She didn't understand the people and animals here at all. Do you know where Dongjing is? Shi Shang approached the girl. The little girl shrank back like a bird startled by the twang of a bow. No matter how much Shi Shang asked, the little girl only felt fear. She didn't even make a sound. Later, Shi Shang found that the little girl could not speak. She was simply, "What a scam." Fortunately, the little girl knew how to write. After Shi Shang repeatedly expressed that he had no interest in killing her, the little girl finally wrote down the answer that Shi Shang wanted. Wanhuang City. The Myriad Desolation City, with such a name, was probably one of the more important cities in the realm of Myriad Desolation. Given Dongjing's lofty status, he lived there. Yes, that's normal. The little girl had been hunted down by her enemies. Her entire family had died, and she was the only one left. She was carrying a letter to her parents' friend, who happened to be in the Wanhuang City as well. In order to thank the little girl for telling him Dongjing's location, Shi Shang took the little girl on their journey. However, when they arrived at the Wanhuang City, they saw a city full of corpses. Blood flowed like a river, and the smell of decay was suffocating. Some carnivorous demonic beasts were eating the corpses in the city. The scene was very bloody. Shi Shang. There was something wrong with this plan. Let me think about it. Side quest triggered. Stop Dongjing. Accepted by default. What? Side quest. Wasn't this a hidden quest? What's with stopping Dongjing? System, you're getting more and more playful. Host, you changed the plot, causing Dongjing to not meet the female lead in the mortal realm. Dongjing has already entered the final stage of his crazy behavior. Shi Shang. So it was still her fault? Dongjing had always wanted to unify the three realms. That's right, every villain had a dream of becoming an overlord, and Dongjing was no exception. However, when the female lead was in the mortal realm, she met Dongjing, who hadn't become so evil yet. Dongjing felt the light of the Holy Mother from the female lead, and perhaps felt that he could still be saved, so he set aside his grand plan of unifying the three realms for a while. When the female lead returned to the heavenly realm, Dongjing felt that the female lead had abandoned him, so he decided to unify the three realms and steal the female lead. Therefore, Dongjing stole other people's cultivation to rapidly increase his own strength, and then fought his way to the heavenly realm. In the end, the male and female lead worked together to kill him. But now, because she changed the plot too much in the mortal realm, the female lead didn't meet Dongjing at all, so Dongjing was now extremely evil. Alright, it was her fault. Shi Shang looked at the little girl. I'm sure the person you're looking for is also dead, so you can only rely on yourself from now on. The little girl looked at Shi Shang pitifully, and sparkling tears hung on her eyelashes, causing one to feel sorry for her. Don't think that I, BBB, will soften my heart just because of this. Since you led the way for me, I'll give you a life-saving ring. Shi Shang chose a ring from his space, roughly cut open the little girl's finger, and dripped a drop of blood on it to claim ownership. This ring has a defensive function. I'm not sure what kind of attack it can block, but as long as you don't provoke someone too powerful, you should be fine. Shi Shang paused for a moment, then added, also, if someone bullies you, you must use this defensive function. Remember, don't be timid, and act like an expert. Once you act cool, others won't be able to figure out your tricks and won't dare to attack you. But if you're timid, others will know that you're easy to bully. Shi Shang patted the little girl's head. Live well. Live well. The little girl looked at the dark green figure that was gradually disappearing into the distance, and her eyes became wet. She clenched her fists, and her heart became firm. She would definitely live. She would live until they could meet again. After leaving the city of endless desolation, Shi Shang met another group of people. These people were all refugees. From them, he learned that Dong Jing was currently heading towards the city of endless desolation, the city of endless flowers. It was the only city in the city of endless desolation that was green, and the people who lived there were all famous people in the city of endless desolation. Dong Jing wanted to become more powerful, so it was normal for him to go there. Host, please stop idling around. By the time you reach there, Dong Jing will have already slaughtered the entire city of endless flowers. What idling around? Is this how you use this idiom? If you don't know how to use idioms, then don't use them, okay? Do you think that by using idioms, you can cover up the fact that you're stupid? The host is using a system attack. Requesting to erase the host. I can't beat him, so I'm not going to court death, Shi Shang retorted before replying to the system with a straight face. The system was speechless. The male lead was so awesome, but he didn't seem to be afraid. Didn't he have fun courting death? Now, he actually said that he couldn't beat him, so he didn't want to court death. This joke wasn't funny at all. If you don't want to go, then don't go. Why are you looking for excuses? Please show the passion you showed to the male and female leads. Don't go carelessly. This system is so angry. The system was so angry that it wanted to shut down. No matter how much the system urged him, Shi Shang didn't listen at all. He continued to walk leisurely towards the city of endless flowers. The city of endless flowers' military defense was clearly several levels higher. Shi Shang arrived at the speed of a turtle. Dong Jing hadn't entered the city yet, and was fighting with a group of people at the city gate. Asterisk requesting votes T*T. The reward for that cherub named ZMO Fama has been sent in Q coins. Chapter 252. Shi Shang sat on the iron sword and looked down at the battle from above. Dong Jing was wearing a black robe and a mask, hiding his face. He held a black sword in his hand. In short, he was black. Facing so many people, Dong Jing was very calm. He defended when it was time to defend and when it was time to attack. Even if the other party wanted to disturb him, they would only end up losing themselves. Shi Shang rubbed his chin and commented in a profound manner, "It would be a pity if this kind of person didn't become the world's overlord." Perhaps it was her Feng Ci? Should she help him? Host, what are you trying to do? The system's voice fluctuated. I'm not going to do anything to you. Why are you so nervous? Shi Shang rolled his eyes at the system in disdain. Host, you're so unfriendly. Do you believe that the system won't kill you? No, I have to add a restriction. But what should I add this time? No killing. No, there were more than humans down there. There were also demons and ghosts. No attacking. No, how can I stop Dong Jing if I don't attack? The system was a bit confused. It seemed that it couldn't add any restriction this time. Master, this is bad. The host is really going to die. Come out and save me. Just as the system was thinking about what restriction it should add, Shi Shang took out the small ball. It flew above the 10,000 flower city and threw it directly at the barrier above it. Bang! The system chose to go offline. It didn't want to see a tragedy in the human world. There was no saving this host, okay? Shi Shang only blew up the barrier and didn't do anything else. Seeing that the barrier was blown up, Dong Jing immediately ran into the city. He looked up at the sky. Thick clouds blocked his vision, so he couldn't see anything. Shi Shang held his face and watched as Dong Jing went on a killing spree in the city. He wouldn't kill the old or the young. Of course, that was on the premise that they didn't attack him. On the contrary, some people took advantage of the chaos to commit crimes like rape and pillage. Dong Jing didn't want everyone's power. He obviously had a target. Moreover, he knew the opponent's weakness and ultimate moves like the back of his hand. The more Shi Shang watched, the more satisfied he was. If this kind of person wasn't hindered by the protagonist aura, he would definitely dominate the world. Dong Jing came out of the city. His black robes were soaked in blood, and the blood dripped onto the ground, forming a bloody path. At this moment, the world was completely silent. It was as if all the living beings in this world had gone extinct. Dong Jing's footsteps suddenly paused as he looked ahead. This action seemed to be in slow motion, dragged on for an infinitely long time. On the road in the distance, a woman in a dark green dress sat on a floating sword and looked at him with smiling eyes. "You were the one who helped me just now." Dong Jing's voice was a little hoarse, as if he had not spoken for a long time. He used an affirmative sentence, not a question. "Yes." Shi Shang jumped down from the iron sword. "As a reward, you have to let me touch you." "Why? Touch it." "Where to touch? How could a girl be so unreserved?" "I'm looking for someone. I want to confirm if you're him." It was not appropriate to beat around the bush when talking to this kind of person. It was better to be direct and straightforward. After a moment of silence, Dong Jing slowly walked towards Time. "How can you be sure?" He didn't like owing people things. If she wanted to use this opportunity to harm him, then he would let her accompany those people in the afterlife. "Just reach out your hand." Shi Shang had expected Dong Jing's reaction, so he said without hesitation. When a person was strong enough to look down on all heroes, no matter what you did, it was just a small trick in their eyes. Dong Jing hesitated for a moment, but still reached out his hand. In order to prevent Dong Jing from suddenly attacking, Shi Shang did not touch Dong Jing's wrist. Instead, he held Dong Jing's hand. A not-so-gentle force entered Dong Jing's body from his palm, and his first reaction was to resist. The killing intent around him suddenly became heavy, but the woman's expression did not change from beginning to end, as if she could not sense his killing intent. Shi Shang frowned and stared at him. "Why are you resisting? What are you trying to do?" Dong Jing asked. Sending one's own power into another's body was the biggest taboo for cultivators. He would be crazy if he did not resist. "I'm just confirming," Shi Shang said disdainfully. "Not everyone wants to kill you. Killing you will dirty my sword. You better stop resisting, or don't blame me for being impolite." Dirty her sword. This woman is really annoying. Dong Jing's body suddenly swayed. His eyes under the mask were filled with raging waves, and his blood was boiling. After a while, he managed to squeeze out a few words. "You're a high god." Shi Shang's eyes curved. "I told you not to resist. You know the consequences of disobeying." Dong Jing's breathing became heavier. He did not remember when the heavenly realm had such a high god. But her power was definitely on par with a high god's. Dong Jing did not feel the force doing anything to his body. It was just moving around casually. He simply gave up resisting. If this woman was really a high god, he would not be able to defeat her in his current state. The power in his body was enormous, but he could not use it at all since he had not refined it. "What's your name?" "Qing Guan." Qing Guan. This name was so familiar. He must have heard it somewhere before. Shi Shang frowned slightly, a bit disappointed. It was not Feng Ci. She withdrew her hand, and the power in Dong Jing's body immediately dissipated as if it had never existed. Dong Jing knew the answer just by looking at her expression, but he was a bit surprised that she was really just looking for someone. "Qing Guan." "That's right. Your verdant palace's Qing Guan?" Dong Jing asked in a questioning tone. "Oh, so you know my name. It seems I'm quite famous." The villain Sama actually knew the original owner? What kind of joke was this? BBB, was a bit dumbfounded. But then again, it was also possible that he had only heard of her name. After all, the villain Sama was once from the heavenly realm. With that in mind, Shi Shang did not pursue the matter any further. Unfortunately, the original owner died too early, so there was nothing about her and Dong Jing in the story. Dong Jing. It really was that little girl from Verdant Palace. She's already grown so big. And her personality is so strange. Having failed to find Feng Ci, Shi Shang prepared to return to the heavenly realm to play with the female lead. However, for some unknown reason, Dong Jing had been following behind her all this time. Along the way, he did not forget to kill people. Shi Shang was not familiar with the land of endless desolation, so it was impossible for him to avoid Dong Jing. Shi Shang stopped and glared angrily at the person behind her. Why are you following me instead of killing people? This guy followed her all the way here. Could it be that he took a fancy to her high god strength and wanted to secretly kill her? Who would have thought the villain would be such a villain? How despicable. Dong Jing, who never knew his actions could be called a great cause. What's with that expression? I'm telling you, don't even think about coveting my power. I don't want to die yet. I won't kill you. If you won't kill me, then why are you following me? Shi Shang was furious. There were so many paths to take, but you just had to follow me. Who would believe you if you said you had no ulterior motives? It was on the way. On your grandpa's way. Shi Shang raised his iron sword and rushed forward. Come on, let's hurt each other. Pleading for votes. Chapter 253. Shi Shang's attacks were extremely violent. She attacked wherever she could without any rhyme or reason. Those with slow reactions would not be able to fight her at all. Dong Jing did not want to fight with Shi Shang at first, so he only dealt with her perfunctorily. However, he soon realized that this guy was serious. She did not hold back at all. He had no choice but to get serious. The sword in her hand looked ordinary, but every strike was filled with immense power. It was not inferior to his black demon sword at all. Shi Shang won by a hair's breadth. Dong Jing retreated far away and shouted for the fight to stop. Shi Shang did not want to kill Dong Jing, so she put away the iron sword the moment Dong Jing shouted for her to stop. Your sword. Dong Jing stared at the iron sword in Shi Shang's hand. He had never heard of such a powerful sword in the three realms. God-slaying sword. Shi Shang coldly threw out these three words. The iron sword changed its name again. Master, just how many names do I have? Dong Jing was dumbfounded. What kind of sword is God-slaying sword? How could those people in the God realm allow you to use such a name? You should be careful even if you want to make up something. After the fight, Dong Jing still followed Shi Shang. Shi Shang went berserk several times. Dong Jing discovered that this girl not only had a bad temper, but also a bad personality. She would attack at the slightest disagreement. He suspected that she could not stay in the God realm and was forced to come to the Great Desolation region. Shi Shang did not know why Dong Jing was following her, so she simply ignored him and continued on her way. However, there was a saying, if you do not look for trouble, trouble will come looking for you. Of course, she was not the main character, so the person who came looking for trouble was definitely not her. It was Dong Jing who was behind her. However, she was in front while Dong Jing was behind her. The person who came looking for trouble came from the front. Unfortunately, Shi Shang was implicated. Dong Jing actually has an accomplice. She's so beautiful. Is she from the God race? No way. Don't the God race like to dress like immortals? This girl doesn't look like one. She looks more like someone from the underworld. Why would someone from the underworld appear here? In any case, the one with Dong Jing is definitely not a good person. She might even be Dong Jing's lover. Let's kill her together. Mistress, your grandpa. Do you know how to speak? Shi Shang couldn't stand the group of people in front of him saying nothing, so he rushed forward with his iron sword. If you want to fight, then fight. Why are you spouting so much nonsense? You're courting death. Blood splattered everywhere Sher Shang went, but his body was graceful and his moves were gorgeous, making people unable to take their eyes off him. Dong Jing was a little dumbfounded as he watched from the back, wondering if his method of killing was too ugly. Killing was also an art. I'll kill more beautifully next time. Where did this god of death come from? He's not any weaker than Dong Jing. Hurry up and retreat. Retreat, retreat. Those who were still alive started to retreat. They initially thought that Dong Jing was the only one left, but who would have thought that there would be another person? Moreover, they were so strong. If they continued to fight, they would be completely wiped out. This was not their original intention. After everyone retreated, Sher Shang cleaned up the blood on his iron sword. Dong Jing walked forward from behind. His mask was stained with blood, which made his already hideous mask look even more hideous. The smell of blood wafted through the air, and there were several corpses between the two. The atmosphere became a little tense. Of course, it was only Dong Jing who thought it was tense. Sher Shang didn't even look at him as he tossed his iron sword into the air. The iron sword grew bigger, and Sher Shang jumped on it and flew into the distance. Dong Jing didn't chase after him this time. He just watched as Sher Shang's figure disappeared into the clouds. He turned around and looked in the direction that those people had left. Those people actually dared to chase after him. They were very brave. If he didn't fulfill their wishes, how could he be worthy of them calling him a god of death? Sher Shang wanted to leave the realm of Great Desolation, but he suddenly realized that he didn't know where the exit of the realm of Great Desolation was. The entrance and exit of the realm of Great Desolation were different. He only knew the entrance. In order to find the exit, Sher Shang had no choice but to go to a place with people. However, a picture of him suddenly spread all over the realm of Great Desolation, saying that he and Dong Jing were in cahoots. When those people saw him, they would fight him and run away. Sher Shang felt depressed. What did he do? Those people wanted to kill him last time. He was just defending himself. Self-defense. Do you understand? Forget it. This group of primitive people definitely don't understand. After being attacked for the nth time, Sher Shang felt his hair stand on end. She just wanted to ask for directions. Ask for directions. Was there something wrong with the people of the realm of Great Desolation? They knew they couldn't beat him, but they still wanted to cause trouble for him. The realm of Great Desolation had the majority of demonic beasts. They were more impulsive, and with their blood boiling, of course they wanted to fight. At first, Sher Shang didn't want to pay attention to them. They were the ones who chased Sher Shang all over the place. Later on, Sher Shang was enraged, and it became Sher Shang who chased them all over the place. Demonic beasts were relatively simple-minded. Humans had probably been assimilated by demonic beasts for a long time, and their brains had also become simple-minded. In short, you have the biggest fist, you have the final say. After witnessing Sher Shang's valiance, the group of demonic beasts changed sides and helped Sher Shang kill people. He even called him Big Boss in a very cheerful manner. Boss, who are we going to kill today? A few demonic beasts in human form surrounded Sher Shang, their faces filled with excitement. Sher Shang glanced at the burly man who spoke. I don't want to kill people. I don't want to kill demonic beasts either. I just want to be a beautiful girl in peace. Boss, let's go kill that fiend Dong Jing. Boss is so powerful, you can definitely kill him. Roar roar. Roar roar your grandpa. Sher Shang went silent. Dong Jing is also very powerful. Why don't you follow him? Why do you want to kill him? These fellows were always talking about killing Dong Jing. She had also killed many of their kind. Why didn't they kill her? This didn't make sense. They were all villains. Why was there such a difference in treatment? Boss is lazy. If we don't attack, you won't attack. But Dong Jing is different. If we don't attack, he will attack. Of course we have to kill him. A petite man said matter-of-factly. Shi Shang. I'm also at fault for being lazy. Why is it my fault for everything? I refuse to do so. Do you know how to speak? Do you know how to speak? How can you say that boss is lazy? The burly man sent the petite man flying with a slap. Then, he turned around with a fawning expression. Boss's hands are so precious. How can you use them to kill us? You should use them to kill people like Dong Jing. Shi Shang looked at the group of subordinates who had volunteered themselves. It was still not too late to kill them now. With this thought, Shi Shang took out his iron sword. When the people surrounding her saw the iron sword, they immediately scattered. Roar, roar, roar. Boss is going to kill demonic beasts. Run. Shi Shang's mouth twitched. The demonic beasts of the Endless Desolation region were too spineless. They still wanted to ride on her coattails. She didn't want them at all. They couldn't even win a fight, and yet they acted shamelessly. What kind of subordinates were they? Were they here to embarrass everyone? After that, Shi Shang took out his sword the moment he saw the demonic beasts. Then, the demonic beasts would run away and howl non-stop. But not long after, they would run back and repeat the same process. They didn't get tired of it. They were simply having too much fun. Shi Shang was even more depressed. These idiots were so stupid that she didn't even want to kill them. Jegan everyone. Boss, there are people who don't want to vote. Shi Shang. Draws sword, who? Everyone. It's that bunch of little demons. Shi Shang waves sword domineeringly and kneels down with a plop. Please vote, little demons. Everyone, boss, where's your integrity? Chapter 254. Dong Jing was still on a killing spree. By the time Shi Shang learned the location of the exit to the land of endless desolation from the group of stupid beasts, Dong Jing had already killed almost everyone he could. The system reminded Shi Shang several times, but Shi Shang turned a deaf ear. If he wants to kill you, then let him kill you. How inhumane would it be to stop him? So Shi Shang allowed Dong Jing to kill in the land of endless desolation while she returned to the heavenly realm. However, what the hell are those bastards following me? Boss, wait for us. Don't push me. I can't catch up to boss. Boss, wait for us. I'm about to catch up to boss. Boss, look at me. I can fly. Shi Shang silently sped up, shaking off those idiots. The heavenly realm. High God Qing Guan. A small immortal immediately bowed when they saw Shi Shang. However, their gazes were a bit strange. Shi Shang didn't pay them any mind, but it was fine if it was just one of them, but almost all the immortals who saw her had strange expressions on their faces. Shi Shang was suspicious. What happened when I left? If it's related to me, then it must be related to the female lead and male lead. Shi Shang reached out and grabbed a small immortal who was walking past him. What happened when I left? The small immortal's expression changed and his body started trembling uncontrollably. High God. What's the use of keeping you if you can't even speak? Shi Shang made a move to strangle the small immortal's neck. Yu Yao was accepted as a disciple by ancient god Zi Huan and successfully became a high god. She's still the Moon Elder. Faced with death, the small immortal quickly explained everything. Shi Shang. There's no such thing as the most melodramatic, only more melodramatic. The female lead's life was full of surprises. You actually managed to catch the eye of an ancient god and become a high god? That was the gist of what happened. Yu Yao was punished to go to the Cliff of Reflection, but while she was there, she encountered ancient god Zi Huan who was trapped inside. This ancient god is awesome. He's even more awesome than me and Song Lan. Just by listening to his title, one would know that he was an ancient god. They were all called high gods. This person's full title was ancient god. There was an extra word. How awesome was that? He was the only ancient god in existence. All the other ancient gods from the same era as Qin Guan's biological parents are all dead. Don't you think it's awesome? The plot didn't have anything to do with this person. He only appeared at the end when the female lead's identity was revealed. So after Bao Bao, broke the female lead's cheat, the plotkuan immediately gave the female lead another cheat? Plotline: if you're so willful, you'll be struck by lightning. Then why are you looking at me strangely? Even if the female lead was fine, there was no need to look at her strangely, right? That Xiao Xian wanted to cry, but no tears came out. There were so many people here, why did they have to capture him? How could he be so unlucky? Exalted Goddess, about this, you should go and take a look at the 3 live stone yourself. 3 live stone? What did it have to do with the 3 live stone? Shi Shang's mind spun, and she suddenly understood. When she left, she forgot to bring the red string back. It was still with Yu Yao. The 3 live stone could check the fate of a person who had already been bound. So Yu Yao was using her position to avenge a personal grudge by helping her set up a marriage? Shi Shang aggressively rushed over to the 3 live stone. When the fairy child guarding the stone saw Shi Shang's murderous expression, he was so frightened that he fell to his knees and trembled. Shi Shang placed his hand on the 3 live stone. The stone flashed a few times. Soon, a name appeared. Dong Jing. Shi Shang stared at the name for a full 10 seconds. His face was expressionless, and his eyes were as calm as stagnant water, without a single ripple. FL Sama, you're really something. How dare you randomly tie up a marriage for me, Bao Bao. And Dong Jing, that idiot who only knows how to kill. She withdrew her hand, then took out her iron sword and slashed at the 3 live stone without batting an eyelid. Exalted Goddess, you can't do this. The fairy child kneeling on the ground cried out in alarm. Crack, with one slash, the 3 live stone broke in half. The fairy child looked at the 2 halves of the 3 live stone in horror. It's over, it's over. I'm dead. The 3 live stone broke. I'll be beaten to death, right? I'll definitely be. Exalted Goddess, you can be willful, but they'll be in trouble. Shi Shang still felt unsatisfied after cutting the 3 live stone, so he dragged his iron sword in the direction of the Moon Elder Hall. Soon, the news that Exalted Goddess Qin Guan had returned to the heavenly realm, cut down the 3 live stone, and was currently angrily heading to the Moon Elder Hall spread throughout the heavenly realm. Her anger was a bit too much. Shi Shang left calmly. Exalted Lord, bad news. The fairy child of the Moon Elder Hall heard the news outside and hurriedly ran back to report. Exalted Goddess Qin Guan has returned and is heading towards us. Greetings, ancient god Zi Huan. The fairy child probably didn't expect Zi Huan to be here, so he rushed in carelessly. It was only after he finished speaking that he saw the man standing next to his exalted lord and immediately lowered his head in greeting. Ancient god Zi Huan coldly grunted in response. Master, Exalted Goddess Qin Guan is here to cause trouble for me. Yu Yao grabbed Zi Huan's arm and said nervously, I really didn't do it on purpose. Zi Huan stroked Yu Yao's head. Don't be afraid. With Master here, no one will dare to touch you. Thank you, Master. Yu Yao lowered her head in embarrassment, just in time to hide the look of triumph that flashed across his face. Before Shi Shang even got close to the Moon Elder Hall, he could already feel the powerful pressure emanating from it. Mother****. An ancient god is awesome. He even knows to use pressure to warn me. Shi Shang directly threw a few small balls at the Moon Elder Hall, causing it to explode into a pile of rubble. When Zi Huan brought Yu Yao out, Shi Shang was already standing in the White Jade Plaza outside the Moon Elder Hall. Her dark green dress fluttered in the wind, making it easy for anyone to spot her in the midst of all that white. Exalted Goddess Qin Guan, why did you destroy the Moon Elder Hall? Zi Huan put on the airs of an ancient god as wave after wave of pressure pressed down on Shi Shang. Shi Shang frowned and resisted the urge to kneel down. With an arrogant expression, he said, if you want to destroy it, just destroy it. What reason do you need? The heavenly realm has its own rules. It's not something you can destroy just because you want to. Zihuan raised his voice and increased the pressure he was exerting. Shishang felt like there was 1,000 pounds of gold pressing down on her head. The air around her was constantly pressing down on her. She endured it for a while, but in the end, she couldn't take it anymore. She took out a small ball and threw it. Bang! The instant the explosion rang out, Shishang felt the pressure pressing down on her recede like the tide. She heaved a heavy sigh of relief. The ancient gods really weren't just bragging. Just this pressure alone is enough to crush someone to death. Zihuan protected Yu Yao and avoided the explosion. The explosion actually contains the power of the heavenly Tao. Although this power was slightly different from the one he was familiar with, they were of the same origin, so the difference wasn't too big. You also said that the heavenly realm has its own rules. Then, how do you plan to lie to me about Yu Yao casually binding me to a marriage? A clear female voice came from up ahead. Zihuan brought Yu Yao away from the flashing lightning and landed in a safe clearing. You can't blame Yu Yao for this. Since you're connected to Dong Jing's red string, it was destined by the heavens. Destined by the heavens? Shishang sneered. Are you going to say that Yu Yao didn't do it on purpose again? Zihuan continued. Yu Yao really didn't do it on purpose. Asterisk update. Thank you Cherub for your tips yesterday. Popular Science Mini Theater Little Fairy. Do you recognize the words above? Cherub, I don't know Little Fairy. Vote and I'll tell you Cherub. Obedient. Vote Little Fairy. Zihuan, Huan. Chapter 255. I didn't do it on purpose. Very well, it was this sentence again. Female lead Darren. Are you planning on treating this sentence as your life motto? The Moon Elder Hall caught fire a few days ago, and your red thread was automatically connected to Dong Jing's. This is the will of the heavens, Zidan said with an indifferent expression. Fire? What the F***CK? I need to find an excuse to get out of trouble. What kind of fire did the god realm need to burn? At the very least, it had to be the legendary true Samadhi fire, right? But which idiot would dare to play with Samadhi true fire in the god realm? I don't care if it's an accident or not. Now that it's done, you have to bear the consequences. Yu Yao poked her head out from beside Zihuan and whispered, How can you blame me? Hey, this girl. Shishang glanced at her coldly. Yu Yao was so frightened that she immediately shrank her head back. Her heart was thumping so hard that it felt like it was about to jump out of her chest. This woman's eyes were so scary. You are Yu Lao. If I don't blame you, should I blame myself? Shishang sneered. Alright, I'll cut the crap. Talking to you guys lowers my IQ. Hand over the book of marriage. How can I give you the book of marriage? Zihuan frowned. Qingguan, don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're a high god. Today, I was still using my status as a high god to do whatever I wanted. Then if you have the ability, don't use your status as an ancient god to bully me. Motherfastris you're using your status to suppress others, yet you're not allowing others to do the same. What a moron. Shishang had never seen such a shameless person before. She felt that she would be letting herself down if she didn't make a move now. Shishang moved his wrists and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, revealing a strange smile. That smile caused Ziruo's heart to jump, but she quickly calmed down. She was just a high deity. How could she possibly overturn the heavens in front of him? Qingguan, this is the god realm. You should pay attention to your status. Oh, Shishang replied flatly. Ziruo's heart thumped even harder. How could his reaction be so calm? High God Qingguan. What are you shouting for? Shishang glared at him fiercely. Zihuan. He had been an ancient god for so many years, but he had never seen such an arrogant person. Even in his era, no one dared to speak to him like this. Shishang narrowed his eyes and rushed forward with his iron sword before Zihuan could make a move. The aura emitted by the iron sword caused Ziruo to become serious. That was a divine weapon. Since the fall of the ancient gods, the divine weapons had also disappeared. He had never seen this divine weapon before, so where did she get it from? While he was thinking about this, Shi Shang's iron sword was already in front of him. Zidan was protecting Yu Yao, so his movements were a little slow. However, his strength as an ancient god wasn't just for show. Shi Shang couldn't touch him at all. He had to think of a way. Shi Shang quickly filtered the information he had in his mind. Finally, he took out something that looked like a fishing net from the space and tossed it into the air. The ordinary fishing net immediately shone with a golden light and began to expand, covering Zi Huan and Yu Yao. Zi Su's magic struck the fishing net, and a hole was easily punched through it. Golden dust drifted down from the sky. The hole created by the magic rapidly expanded as if it was being corroded. In the end, it all turned into golden dust and drifted down from the sky. Just as Zidan was wondering why the net was so weak, he saw the woman in front of him looking at him with an arrogant expression. The golden dust separated them like a curtain. Their vision was affected, and the figure in front of him was somewhat blurry. He suddenly had a bad premonition. He lowered his head and looked at himself. There was a lot of golden dust on him, but it was slowly entering his body. These things... He wanted to slap the golden dust away, but the more he did, the faster it entered his body. Don't waste your energy. These little guys are alive. Shi Shang's expression became even more arrogant. They'll give birth to countless offspring in your body and use it as a shell. Of course, you won't die. After all, you have a divine body. Qing Guan. Zi Huan shouted angrily. He could feel something swimming in his blood, but his divine power couldn't expel it. What are these things? They can even deal with ancient gods. Shi Shang crossed his arms and snorted coldly. Of all the people you could have taken as your disciple, you had to take her. Serves you right. You still want to attack me? Do you really think I can't deal with you? There's always someone better than you. Master. Yu Yao grabbed Zidan's hand in horror. She also had some golden dust on her, and it was currently entering her body. She felt like thousands of ants were crawling all over her body. The itch was unbearable. It's best if you don't use your divine power. Those little guys like that stuff the most. Shi Shang reminded Zidan as he walked forward. Zidan's body stiffened. It was just as she said. As soon as he used his divine power, it disappeared into thin air. Shi Shang flashed into the Moon Elder's hall and found the Book of Marriage amidst the cries of the immortal child. He flipped to the very end, but he couldn't find his name or Dong Jing's. Shi Shang frowned and flipped through the book again, but he still couldn't find it. This can't be. If the Stone of Three Lives is here, why isn't it in the Book of Marriage? What did that little bitch Yu Yao do this time? She wants to *CK her to the heavens. Shi Shang went out with a gloomy face. There were many immortals gathered outside. The Jade Emperor and the Queen Mother were both present. The Jade Emperor's face was stern and furious. High God Qing Guan, what are you doing? She actually dared to attack ancient god Zi Huan. Just how bold is she? Ever since she became a high god, the heavenly realm hasn't been peaceful. Yu Yao had indeed been in the wrong before, so he didn't say anything. But now, she had destroyed the Stone of Three Lives, destroyed the Moon Elder's hall, and even attacked ancient god Zi Huan. These crimes were enough to remove her godhood. Shi Shang casually raised his hand and looked at it for a moment. People won't die if they don't seek death. Don't you think so, Jade Emperor? Jade Emperor. He couldn't understand what she was saying. Shi Shang lowered his hand and summoned the iron sword. A smile slowly bloomed on his face. It looks like you want to attack me. Then I'll strike first to gain the upper hand. As soon as she finished speaking, the iron sword was waved, and the weather suddenly changed. This is a divine weapon. Heavens, High God Qing Guan actually has a divine weapon. No wonder she's so fearless. Ever since the fall of the ancient gods, all kinds of divine weapons had gone missing. Even High God Zi Huan didn't have a divine weapon. They couldn't think of anything else that could cause the weather to change except a divine weapon. She. What is she trying to do? Isn't this what you should be worried about? Rumor has it that in ancient times, a divine weapon could destroy heaven and earth. Looking at High God Qing Guan's current stance, she's trying to destroy the heavenly realm. Jade Emperor, this is bad. The Jade Emperor felt like he was in the middle of a whirlpool, and the air around him was being squeezed until there was nothing left. The sudden shout caused his heart to beat wildly. Can't I see? Jade Emperor, Jade Emperor. Demon beasts from the land of endless desolation are attacking. The messenger scrambled over. Probably because he was too frightened, he didn't pay attention to the woman who was stirring up a storm in front of him. What did you say? The Jade Emperor thought he was hearing things. Demon beasts from the land of endless desolation are attacking. The messenger repeated loudly. Demon beasts from the land of endless desolation are attacking. Asterisk, there's poison ahead. Prepare your own Rehmannia pills and detoxification pills. Chapter 256. What kind of place was the land of infinite desolation? It was a place that even the heavenly realm didn't dare to casually send people there. There were all kinds of fish and dragons mixed in there. However, most of the creatures there were demonic beasts, all kinds of demonic beasts. There were even ferocious beasts from ancient times. But now, someone was telling him that the demonic beasts of the land of infinite desolation had invaded? This wasn't the time for jokes. Only a few seconds had passed. Shi Shang hadn't heard their conversation and had already waved his iron sword. Countless bolts of lightning suddenly fell from the sky. Host, good luck. The system's voice rang in Shi Shang's mind along with the roar of thunder and lightning. Shi Shang knew something bad was about to happen. The heavenly Tao must be here to cause trouble again. Sure enough, lightning began to gather in her direction. F***ck. Shi Shang cursed and rushed toward Yu Yao. Lightning kept striking behind her. Although she managed to dodge it every time, the power of the lightning was too great. She could feel the destructive intent even without coming into contact with it. Zi Huan couldn't use his divine power right now, so he could only rely on his own strength to dodge with Yu Yao. Fortunately, not many bolts of lightning struck them. High God Qing Guan, why aren't you stopping? Do you want to destroy the entire heavenly realm? Someone in the distance shouted at the top of their lungs. Shi Shang had already closed in on Yu Yao and kicked the obstructing Zi Huan aside. Zi Huan staggered. He didn't have time to dodge the falling lightning and was struck by it. What are you trying to do? Yu Yao looked at Shi Shang approaching her with a face full of panic. She shouted in Zi Huan's direction, Master. He can't even protect himself, yet you want him to save you? Dream on. Shi Shang grabbed Yu Yao and led her toward the place where the lightning was most concentrated. She wanted to see if the heavenly Tao would strike her or not. Yu Yao was so scared that she went limp as she looked at the lightning falling all around her. How did things turn out like this today? She expected Qing Guan to be taught a lesson by her master. How did things turn out like this? The rumbling in the sky didn't stop, causing her heart to tremble. Shi Shang threw Yu Yao to the ground. Lightning fell from the sky. Some landed beside Yu Yao, some landed on her body. Ah! Yu Yao screamed miserably as her hair stood on end. Shi Shang stared at her for a moment and narrowed his eyes. A strange smile appeared on his face, sinister and insolent. So that was the case. She used her iron sword to parry the lightning that was about to strike her, and soared into the air. Since you want to chop I so badly, I will let you chop me to your heart's content. It was as if he had eaten Dazzle and couldn't stop. In the area where thunder and lightning were concentrated, the woman in the black dress suddenly appeared in the air. She pointed her iron sword at the sky. The lightning bolts, which were as thick as an arm, seemed to be attracted by something and rushed towards the iron sword. However, there were also lightning bolts that didn't fall. They continued to scatter and strike the nearby buildings. Countless immortals flew about amidst the lightning, and the scene was extremely chaotic. Zidan was helped up by someone. Ancient God Zihuan, quickly stop her. She's gone mad and wants to destroy the entire god realm. Ancient God Zihuan's eyes were gloomy. What's the point of talking to me now? I can't even use my divine power. Jade Emperor was also escorted over. He looked at Zidan as if he was looking at his savior. Ancient God Zihuan, quickly stop her. Ancient God Zihuan, if he could, why would he be standing here and watching? When everyone saw Zidan remain silent, their hearts beat like drums. What's going on? Rumble. The sound of thunder shook heaven and earth. Everyone felt as if the ground was collapsing. Everyone looked in Shishang's direction. However, they didn't see anyone. There was only the sound of thunder. And there was a charred lump on the ground that was no longer recognizable as a person. Ancient God Zihuan. Yu Yao Shi. Jade Emperor was a bit nervous. Why is this child so opposed to High God Qing Guan? Zihuan looked in Yu Yao's direction with a slight frown. He had accepted her as a disciple because she was the daughter of an old friend and happened to save him. But this time, she had caused such a huge problem. Jade Emperor, this is bad. This is bad. The demonic beasts are here. Ah. That person suddenly collapsed, splattering blood all over the Jade Emperor. In the distance, a large group of demonic beasts was rushing over. Many of the immortals were brutally trampled to death or sent flying. Boss, boss. We're here. Boss, look at me. Look at me. Boss. Boss is mighty. Kill these sanctimonious immortals. Kill, kill, kill. Kill, kill, kill. Charge. Boss, boss. Shishang stood on top of a thundercloud. Lightning flashed all around her, but none of it fell on her. She looked down at the demonic beasts that had joined the battle. The corner of her mouth twitched. These guys really did come. And look at that group. They seem to have expanded quite a bit. Shishang shook her head and focused on the iron sword. The lightning she drew down wasn't controlled by the heavenly Tao. The lightning from the heavenly Tao was probably affected by the lightning she drew down, so it wasn't very powerful. It wasn't as powerful as it was in Bu Jingyun's plane. If I take advantage of the balance between the two sides, I might be able to destroy this plane. She was quite excited just thinking about it. Master, if you don't come out soon, the host is really going to destroy this plane. Shishang was secretly preparing to destroy this plane. The demonic beasts and immortals below were engaged in a fierce battle. When Dongjing arrived, the first thing he saw was this chaotic scene. He hadn't even started yet. Why were they already fighting? Why were these demonic beasts here? Forget it, I'm going to kill them anyway. Thus, another killing god joined the chaotic army. Boss, save me. That bastard Dongjing is here. The demonic beasts abandoned their opponents upon seeing Dongjing and ran toward Shishang. Boss, save me. Boss, come and kill that bastard. Ow ow, he's killing a beast. Run run. Dongjing was still wearing his mask. He didn't care if you were a god or a demonic beast. He would kill anyone who stood in his way. However, the demonic beast's shouts still left Dongjing speechless. These idiots are still as stupid as ever. Boom! Boom! Two loud booms rang out in quick succession. All the lightning stopped falling. Dark clouds surged in the sky, suffocating the onlookers. The demonic beasts came to an abrupt halt in their tracks. A deathly silence ensued. Everyone raised their heads and looked up. A dark green figure slowly descended from the sky. Her dress fluttered in the wind. Lightning crackled on the surface of the iron sword. Congratulations on ushering in a new era. The woman's voice was carried far away by the wind. It was as if special effects had been added to her voice, causing it to echo throughout heaven and earth. They watched as she raised the sword in her hand. Her movements seemed to have been slowed down. A bolt of lightning suddenly shot out from the iron sword, piercing through the dark clouds above her head. Boom! After this loud boom, cracks began to appear on the ground. These cracks quickly spread into the distance. The surrounding buildings began to collapse. Everyone swayed unsteadily on their feet. Their expressions were filled with panic. Asterisk little fairy, you've finally destroyed a plane. Are you happy? Shi Shang, happy, you can do it a few more times. Little fairy, no problem. Just let those little fairies vote. Shi Shang, I think it's better for me to be a quiet beauty. Chapter 257. The speed of the collapse was so fast that the immortals couldn't save it in time. They could only watch helplessly as the heavenly realm collapsed. Meanwhile, the main culprit was looking at her masterpiece with a satisfied expression. This lunatic. Shi Shang lowered his head and looked at the iron sword in his hand like it was a treasure. You really can absorb anything. I didn't waste all those years ago when I risked my life to bring you out. I even wasted so many good things, Shi Shang muttered. Then, he said regretfully, it's a pity that it can't give birth to a sword spirit. The iron sword trembled slightly, as if in protest or in response to Shi Shang. Shi Shang patted the iron sword and it stopped trembling and returned to its original state. Shi Shang landed on the ground with the iron sword in hand. The entire heavenly realm was collapsing right now. The immortals couldn't even take care of themselves. So who would care about Yu Yao who was struck by lightning? Qing Guan. Yu Yao was lying on the ground, barely breathing. When she saw Shi Shang, her eyes filled with hatred. Oh my, you're not dead yet? Shi Shang sneered. This female lead's halo is simply heaven-defying. BBB, wasted so many treasures to resist the heavenly lightning, but the female lead took it head-on. That's the difference. Qing Guan, you destroyed the heavenly realm. You're a sinner of the heavenly realm. You won't have a good ending. Yu Yao spat out through gritted teeth. Her expression was slightly malevolent, and she no longer had her usual loveliness and cuteness. Oh, I didn't want a good ending either. What kind of ending does a villain want? The winner is king, and the loser is a bandit. It's obvious that I, the villain, have won. If you're unhappy, then come and fight me. BBB, didn't stop them. Yu Yao was so angry that she spat out a mouthful of blood. What right does she have? What right does she have? I'm clearly a high lord, and I have an ancient god as my master, but I still can't beat her in the end. Why? Shi Shang crouched down and asked coldly, what did you do to my marriage with Dong Jing? Yu Yao was stunned at first. Then she spat, if you're not that powerful, why are you asking me? Shi Shang frowned and grabbed Yu Yao's neck. Don't test my patience. I'll ask you again. What did you do? Me? No. Su. You. Yu Yao squeezed out a few words through gritted teeth. Shi Shang narrowed his eyes. Very good. She abruptly released Yu Yao and rose to her feet. She looked down at Yu Yao and said, I hope you won't die too tragically in the end. Before Yu Yao could understand what Shi Shang meant, she heard him call out to the demon beast chasing after the immortal in the distance. Hey, come here for a moment. Ow wow, boss is calling me. A gigantic demonic beast stomped an immortal to death. It bounced around excitedly and then dashed toward the Shi Shang. Boss, what can I do for you? Shi Shang gestured with his chin at the dark figure on the ground. Take her away. You can play with her however you want. Even if you kill her, it's fine. You'll never know if I die. Yu Yao glared at Shi Shang with eyes as venomous as a viper's. Then I won't know. Alright, I'll just kill Dong Jing. Trying to influence her heart with a red string? What a fool's dream. Let go of me. Yu Yao was picked up by the demon beast and tossed into the air. Seeing this, The demon beast in the distance immediately rushed over. It bit Yu Yao and tossed her into the air. The next scene was even more bloody. The demon beast tossed Yu Yao around in the air as if she was a rubber ball. Honestly, if the female lead didn't die even after all this baby really wanted to give her a stab. Before Shi Shang could finish her off, the female lead was rescued by someone. The male lead, dressed in snow-white robes, descended from the sky. He domineeringly rescued the female lead from the demon beast's mouth. She was so dirty that she looked like she'd been fished out of a cesspool. The demon beast whose toy had been snatched away immediately cried out in pain. "Oh, boss!" A pretty boy snatched the toy away. "Boss, that pretty boy is so strong. We don't dare to snatch it back. Boss, if you're so good, you go ahead." Shi Shang. It was her fault that she'd forgotten about the male lead who'd lost his memories. Asterisk flips table asterisk. Can you get rid of this cheat that the female lead won't die? This baby isn't convinced. System, give me a cheat. Let this baby go up and kill the female lead. Heh, even without a cheat, you're going to destroy an entire plane. If I give you a cheat, do you want to destroy the entire universe? This system refuses. Shi Shang glanced at Dong Jing, who was still harvesting human and demon beast heads. His eyes swiveled twice. She flew in front of Dong Jing and kicked the immortal in front of her away. Dong Jing stopped what he was doing and looked at the woman in the black dress. He was still wearing his mask. The eyes under the mask were calm and rational. He didn't go berserk. "Hey, Lord Villain, do you want to form a team and kill people?" Dong Jing. Although her words were a bit strange, he roughly understood what she meant. Reason. Before, he'd suspected that she'd come to the Great Desolation because she couldn't stay in the God Realm anymore. Now, it seemed that she really couldn't stay there anymore. Reason. What reason did she need? I don't like them. This should count as a reason, right? She'd been unhappy with them for a long time. They wore white clothes and had stoic faces all day long. An expressionless face wasn't a stoic face, okay? If you don't know how to do it, then don't act pretentious. Okay. You kill those two. Shi Shang pointed at the male and female leads. I'll kill the others. The host was instigating the villain to kill people again. How tiring. Hashtag, is there any way for the host to quietly complete the mission? Waiting online. Urgent. Hashtag, I don't kill women, Dong Jing abruptly blurted out. Shi Shang. Crazy cat. What's wrong with women? Aren't women human? Women are much scarier than men when they're vicious. And you don't kill women? Do you know how many men have died at the hands of women? Don't ever look down on women. Idiot. Forget it. You can go by yourself. Shi Shang suddenly waved his hand disinterestedly. Dong Jing. Women were fickle creatures. She was the one who suggested it earlier, and now she changed her mind. Dong Jing ignored Shi Shang, this fickle woman, and continued to kill the gods. Shi Shang hugged his arms and retreated, leaving the battlefield to Dong Jing. The villain Sama was all alone. If he succeeded in unifying the three realms, his name would definitely go down in history, and he'd be worshipped as a role model by all the villains in the future. Shi Shang's thoughts drifted a bit far away, and for some reason, he thought of Feng Ci. Wasn't Feng Ci in this world? Why wasn't Dong Jing? The system said that Feng Ci would appear in the world she was in, but it didn't say that he would appear in every world. So, Feng Ci wasn't in this world? Teskadesk. This little vixen really knew how to play. She made me look all over the world for her. I'll definitely beat her up the next time we meet. Host, are you still going to do your side mission? The system reminded Shi Shang. If I don't stop Dong Jing now, he'll kill them all. Asterisk Shi Shang. Where did that little vixen Feng Ci run off to? Little fairy. Take a guess. Shi Shang. Do you believe that I'll make those vixens not vote for you? Little fairy. Do you believe that I'll make Feng Ci die in front of you? Shi Shang. Make him die. If he dies, Don't even think about getting a single vote. Little fairy, I was wrong. Let the vixens vote. I need votes. Chapter 258. This disaster was comparable to the Great Desolate Era. Dong Jing possessed the body of the god of death and slaughtered the immortals until they cried for their parents. The strongest among them, Zi Huan, couldn't even use his divine power. He couldn't stop Dong Jing at all. Although Cong Lan was strong, he had to protect too many immortals and couldn't use his full strength. There were also demonic beasts eyeing them covetously, ready to steal their heads at any time. There was no way to fight this battle. In the end, they were forced to retreat to Kongwu Mountain. The god realm was in the sky. The collapse caused by Shi Shang was still ongoing, and the god realm fell directly into the mortal realm. The weather changed, and natural disasters continued. The mortal realm also fell into chaos. Shi Shang's new era was unavoidable. Kongwu Mountain. Yu Yao had already washed up and eaten a pill, but her face was still pale. She was probably frightened by those demonic beasts. Master. Yu Yao looked pitifully at Zi Huan. I feel like something is crawling inside my body. It's so uncomfortable. Zi Huan wasn't unfamiliar with this feeling. He could feel it as well. Don't be afraid. I'll think of a way. Zi Huan rubbed Yu Yao's head. Master. Yu Yao's eyes misted over, making her little face look even more pitiful. Zidan was a little dazed. His hand that was caressing Yu Yao's head unconsciously slid down a little and brushed past her face. Something seemed to sprout in the depths of his eyes. Yu Yao was stunned at first, but then her heart began to beat wildly. Some unrealistic thoughts appeared in her mind. However, Yu Yao immediately rejected this thought. He was her master. How could he have such thoughts? Probably no one was worthy of a person like her master. Master. Yu Yao's face reddened as she called out softly. Zi Huan returned to his senses and shifted his gaze away from Yu Yao. Rest well. I'll think of a way. Yu Yao nodded obediently. Zi Huan nodded and turned to leave. As he left the room, he ran into Cong Lan. When the two men met, an indescribable atmosphere circulated between them. But neither of them had any intention of breaking the silence. It wasn't until Yu Yao coughed that Cong Lan walked past Zi Huan and entered the room. On Kongwu Mountain, the group of immortals was helpless. The god world had already been destroyed, and Shi Shang was nowhere to be seen. However, Dong Jing had led the myriad desolation region on a path of hegemony. The only ancient god on their side had been ambushed by Shi Shang and could not use his divine power. Thus, a group of people began to discuss this matter, and they were determined to let Zi Ruo recover. Only when Zi Dan recovered would they have a chance to get back at him. We've already tried so many methods, but those things seem to have fused into the bones and blood. There's no way to force them out. Ancient god Zi Huan, other than feeling strange, do you have any other feelings? The Jade Emperor looked at Zi Huan anxiously. Zi Huan lowered his eyes. It's become more obvious these days. Isn't that serious? What should we do? Qingguan didn't tell us what it was. What's going on? The group of immortals started a heated discussion again. During this time, they kept cursing Shi Shang's 18 generations of ancestors. I might know what that is, but I don't know if I should tell you. A minor immortal suddenly raised his hand and said timidly. The chaotic scene immediately quieted down. Everyone looked at the minor immortal in unison. The Jade Emperor scolded in a deep voice, "This is a critical moment. What do you know? Hurry up and tell us so we can use it as a reference." The minor immortal wiped away his cold sweat and whispered, "I once saw in an ancient book that there's a type of bug that's very similar to the one described by ancient god Zi Huan." The Jade Emperor's eyes lit up. "What bug? Is there a way to cure it?" "I don't know what it's called. It went extinct long ago during the Desolate Era. However, it can prevent people from using divine power." Not only divine power, but even Yao power, will be suppressed. The minor immortal tried to explain in detail. Is there a way to cure it? This was what the Jade Emperor was most concerned about right now. The minor immortal looked at Zi Huan and swallowed with difficulty. There is a way, but... Speak. Why are you hemming and hawing? The Jade Emperor didn't need to say anything. Ancient god Zi Huan was their only hope right now. We have to... do that with a woman. The minor immortal's face burned. Do what? It's... The minor immortal hemmed and hawed. Someone couldn't wait any longer and bluntly said, "What else could it be? That kind of thing between a man and a woman, right?" The minor immortal nodded awkwardly. This time, everyone's gazes focused on Zi Huan. Zi Huan's expression didn't change, but his eyes flickered. Can this be cured? That's what was written in the book. However, a woman must also have this bug in her body. Yu Yao, who had been eavesdropping outside, ran back to her room with a red face, her heart thumping. She had heard the minor immortal's words. If they wanted to cure the strange bug in her and her master's body, they had to do that kind of thing. She wasn't unfamiliar with this kind of thing. In the mortal world, she had married Song Lan and done it with him. However, at that time, they hadn't used her body. Yu Yao sat alone in her room, unable to sit still. When night fell, Zidan came as expected. He stared at Yu Yao for a moment. Yu Yao nervously tugged at her clothes, her face red. She pretended to be calm as she looked at Zi Huan. Master. Zi Huan didn't say anything for a long time. The atmosphere in the room was somewhat awkward. Yu Yao gritted her teeth and finally mustered her courage. Master. I'm willing. Zi Huan looked at her in astonishment. As long as Master can recover, Yu Yao is willing, Yu Yao said quickly, then lowered her head. Yu Yao, do you know? Yu Yao interrupted Zi Huan. Master became like this because of me. This is all I can do for Master. She took a deep breath, her heart filled with apprehension and nervousness. As long as Master doesn't mind. Zi Huan's eyes darkened. Yu Yao, I'm sorry. Before Yu Yao could say anything, she fell into an ice-cold embrace. The light in the room suddenly dimmed, plunging it into darkness. A moment later, the sound of a man and woman panting could be heard. Then, it turned into a woman's pained cry. By the time Song Lan arrived, it was already too late. Zi Huan put on his clothes and came out of the room. The back room was completely dark, so he couldn't see what was going on inside. Song Lan threw a punch at Zi Huan, but a group of people appeared out of nowhere and quickly pulled him away. High God Song Lan, there's nothing we can do. Who told you Yao to be the only one with that bug in her body? That's right. If ancient god Zi Huan doesn't recover, our god realm will be finished. High God Song Lan, calm down. Song Lan broke free from those people and glared hatefully at them. Then, he entered the room and closed the door. The group of people looked at each other, then rubbed their noses and looked up at the sky. Asterisk recommendation votes added more chapters. 1 added more chapters. Please vote. Chapter 259. Yu Yao was stupefied. This was the consequence. Because those insects preferred women, mating with a woman would allow the insects to enter her body. However, the number of insects in Zi Huan's body was already enormous. In addition, Yu Yao already had them. It was a miracle that she didn't die. Song Lan couldn't describe how he felt about Yu Yao's current state. He didn't feel any heartache, but his body instinctively wanted to do something for her. Big brother Song Lan. Yu Yao shook his arm. Yu Yao wants to kiss you. Wash your hands first. Song Lan held Yu Yao's hand and stood up. Yu Yao suddenly sat down on the ground, her dirty face streaked with tears. No, I want to kiss you. Big brother Song Lan used to kiss me all the time. Song Lan frowned. When had he ever kissed her? I'll go find Master. He'll give me a kiss. Yu Yao suddenly got up from the ground, lifted her skirt, and ran out. Song Lan looked at Yu Yao's figure, but he didn't chase after her. Instead, he stared thoughtfully at the sky. Yu Yao ran to find Zi Huan. Zi Huan was in the middle of discussing how to fight Dong Jing when Yu Yao suddenly barged in. The group was forced to stop. This wasn't the first time. If it weren't for the fact that Yu Yao had become like this for the greater good and that the Jade Emperor indulged her, Zi Huan would have locked her up long ago. Yu Yao pounced on Zi Huan, her dirty claws grabbing Zi Huan's clothes and leaving a black claw mark on them. Master, kiss me. Zi Huan frowned. With the enemy before them, there was naturally no one to take care of Yu Yao. There was an unpleasant stench coming from her body. He might not be able to smell it from far away, but now that he was close, the smell immediately drifted into his nose. Master is working. You can leave first. Zi Huan endured the stench and tried his best to speak gently. No, I want a kiss. Yu Yao pouted and moved closer to Zi Huan's lips. Zi Huan's expression darkened. Nonsense. He pushed Yu Yao away and glanced at the others from the corner of his eyes. They immediately lowered their heads, not daring to look in that direction. Woo-woo, Master is fierce to me. Yu Yao cried loudly and kept moving closer to Zi Huan. Zi Huan's head hurt. He couldn't really be rough with her. You guys go back first. We'll discuss this later. Zi Ruo dismissed the others. When the room was empty, Zi Dan brought the noisy Yu Yao to the back of the room. He stripped her naked and threw her into the bathtub to wash her several times. There were still some bugs in his body that needed to be thoroughly cleaned. In the face of power and benefits, women were nothing more than accessories to men. When the conditions were right, they could spoil you to the heavens. But when they needed you to contribute, even if it meant taking your life, they wouldn't even blink an eye. Shi Shang had been wandering in the mortal world with a group of monsters recently. It wasn't that she was leading the demonic beasts, it was that this group of demonic beasts insisted on leading her. She didn't understand why they liked her so much. She didn't activate any strange aura. What was the meaning of flirting with a bunch of beasts? Boss, there's a city up ahead. Should we go kill it? Shi Shang, who was lying on a rattan chair, said with disdain, Kill what? You only know how to kill all day. Can't you have some ambition? We have ambitions. The demonic beast refused to accept it. We have ambitions to dominate the 3 realms. Damn, this group of demonic beasts actually had such an awesome target? She couldn't tell at all. Shi Shang opened his eyes and glanced at the demonic beast, then shook his head speechlessly. You want to dominate the world with such a coward? What do you think of Dong Jing? He's the one who should dominate the world. Boss, trust us. We can definitely do it. The demonic beasts looked determined. Let's go, Pikachu. Shi Shang nodded sincerely. Boss, go and help us. The demonic beasts looked sincere. Shi Shang. So what was her purpose? Shi Shang was determined not to go. The demonic beasts had no choice but to go on their own. They were practically invincible against mortals. Demonic beasts probably had an innate hatred for 2-legged humans, so they locked up the entire city. They made food reserves. Shi Shang was speechless as he looked at the demonic beasts' actions. They even knew how to make food reserves. You guys don't even eat humans, so what's the point of making food reserves? That's right, this group of weirdos never ate humans. They said that they would easily develop inner demons after eating humans. Inner demons my ass. You guys want to dominate the world, but you're still worried about inner demons. You're simply idiots. If you want to achieve great things, you have to disregard your own life. These demonic beasts deserved it. They wanted to dominate the world since the Desolate Era, but they still haven't done so. Shi Shang followed the demonic beasts to many places. Unknowingly, the demonic beasts had almost taken over the entire mortal world. The humans, on the other hand, placed all their hatred on Shi Shang. Shi Shang swore that she really didn't do anything. She just moved a stool and watched the demonic beasts fight while eating melon seeds. Then, after the fight, those idiots ran over excitedly to ask for praise. As a result, she became the target of the entire human race and became #1 on the human race's blacklist. Shi Shang, I'm innocent. Why are you guys so unreasonable? Those beasts were the ones who attacked you. What right do you have to hate me? Boss, look at these pretty boys. They look pretty good. Do you want to keep them to warm your bed? A few demonic beasts in human form pushed a few men in front of Shi Shang. Shi Shang crossed his legs without a care for his image. He opened his half-closed eyes and calmly glanced at the demonic beasts in human form. To make it easier to distinguish them, Shi Shang gave these demonic beasts names. They walked in a line according to their height: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The one who spoke just now was the largest one, E. Yes, the names were overlapping. That's right, they were so cute. A group of burly men being called by overlapping names. The scene was too beautiful. Demonis, we'd rather die than submit. Even if you have our bodies, you can't have our hearts. Demonis, don't think that we're afraid of you. Let go of me if you dare. We'll fight one-on-one. Shi Shang pointed at the man who wanted to fight one-on-one. Sanson, drag him down and beat him up. But this pretty boy is the most good-looking. Sanson scratched its head. Didn't all humans like good-looking men? This pretty boy was the most good-looking among them. Why did boss still want him to beat him up? You don't have to hit his face. Shi Shang smiled mysteriously. Sanson suddenly understood. Yes, you don't have to hit his face. It grabbed the man and dragged him outside. Demonis, let go of me if you dare. Shi Shang supported his chin with his hand. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He lightly spat out a few words. Useless. Demonis, you'll die a horrible death. You bitch, you vicious woman. Damn, how dare you scold our boss. Don't care about his face. Beat him up hard. We'll find a new pretty boy for boss. Shi Shang. He didn't want a pretty boy. Also, that's not how you use the term pretty boy. Asterisk. Update. Thank you to the cherub who tipped me little fairy. Do you have tickets today? Cherub. Yes. Little fairy. Then did you guys vote? Cherub. No, I want a kiss. Little fairy. Come on, let's hurt each other. Draws sword, system. You've lost your cherub. You can't get them back. Little fairy. I choose death. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.